Once they come on in, they can get up into the conversation as well too. Shout out to everybody that's up in the Twitter space right now. Shout out to my people that will be coming on the YouTube as well too. For all my people coming to YouTube, guys, make sure you go ahead, click that notification bell because yes, I think you already know that YouTube is not sending out notifications. So definitely go ahead and click that notification bell. Also, go ahead and if you have not already, subscribe to the actual Newstoter YouTube channel. Like tonight's broadcast, leave a comment, share it on all your social media platforms. Definitely go ahead and share it. So if anybody's not here to catch it live, they can always see the actual see the broadcast still. So definitely go ahead and share it. If you guys have not, make sure you visit newstoter.com to stay up to date on breaking Black news in Black America today. Once again, that is newstoter.com to stay up to date on breaking Black news today. Shout out once again on this Tuesday night. We're going to be discussing a few topics tonight. We got 3 topics we want to dig into, guys. We want to talk about the situation at Harvard going on with Claudine Gay. Claudine will retain her. So we're going to talk about that tonight. We also want to talk about the defeat that Sheila Jackson Lee suffered in her pursuit of becoming the mayor of Houston. We also want to touch up also on a topic that is really, really starting to gain steam. We had a space, I believe it was last year on it. We were talking about the migration back to the South for Black people, trying to form a majority Black state, get some power in terms of local election and state elections and everything like that as well too. So we're gonna be touching up on a number of topics tonight. I definitely want to hear what our people got to say when we touch up on these topics. Charles Blow, he has a documentary out that's on I believe it's HBO Max that just came out recently. So definitely go ahead and catch that documentary. It's called South to Black Power, and it speaks on the actual phenomenon and what could possibly happen, if we get enough Black people to actually come back to some of these states that already have a significant Black population and they come on in here. So we can actually take majority in some of these states. So I'm going to touch up on all 3 of these topics tonight, guys. And like I say, I'm glad to have everybody coming up in the space. Shout out to you, Monty. Shout out to you, Miss Avery, as well, too. And like I said, we're going to touch up on 3 topics tonight. I definitely want to get everybody's opinion. We know the situation with Claudine Gay, that is that's been one of the main stories recently, and we want to go ahead and we want to touch up on that. And we want to talk about Sheila Jackson Lee. She suffered a defeat, but Sheila's going to try to go back to Congress and get her position, everything else as well too. So there are a number of topics, number of subjects we want to speak on tonight. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope all you guys are having a good night tonight. Shout out to that Negro. I see him up in the space as well too. And I guess I'll go ahead. I'll get things cracking with Sheila Jackson Lee real quick. Then we'll touch up on the migration, and we'll also touch up on the situation going on with with Claudine Gay and Harvard, and that has just been that's been a situation there. This is and the 2 of the articles tonight are up in the Jumbotron from newstoter.com, curator on the platform. The article I'm going to touch up on tonight, the one by Jackson Lee, is from Roll Call. That is not in the actual Jumbotron or in the description on YouTube, guys. So let me go ahead real quick and touch up on this. Jackson Lee files to run again after losing race for Houston mayor. 2 days after losing her bid to become Houston's next mayor, Representative Sheila Jackson Lee filed for re-election to the House, setting up a competitive March 5th primary against a fellow Democrat who was once her intern, Amanda Edwards. I'm compelled by the numerous opportunities still ahead to enhance the lives of my constituents, Jackson Lee, 73, said in a statement posted on the social media platform X. My commitment encompasses hard work geared towards securing better education for children, ensuing affordable housing for young families, fostering an improved quality of life for seniors, protecting reproductive rights, stopping the spread of gun violence, bringing down crime, and protecting the environment for the sake of future generations, she wrote. On Saturday, Jackson Lee lost the race to State Senator John Whitmire, 65% to 35%. She finished second behind Whitmire in an 18-candidate election in November. Edwards, an attorney and former at-large member of the Houston City Council, announced in June that she was running for the 18th district, seat currently held by Jackson Lee. Edwards had raised more than $1 million and had 829,000 in her campaign account on September 30, while Jackson Lee had 213,000 according to disclosures to the Federal Election Commission. In a video message posted Monday on social media, it was promised to bring a fresh perspective to Congress. When I first got started on my congressional journey, I went all over the district, and one thing became clear. This district is ready for change, she said. Aerospace consultant Isaiah Martin, another former Jackson Lee intern, had also announced that he was seeking the Democratic nomination, and he had about 284,000 in his campaign account as of September 30th. He announced Monday afternoon he was suspending his campaign and endorsing Jackson Lee. Our party must have unity. With so many federal dollars available to bring back to our district, we need to send Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee back to Washington, Martin said in a statement. Having served 28 years, she has lost her seniority, meaning it will be a lot easier for her to bring back federal funding than any freshman member. The 18th district includes much of Houston, and the 2024 race for the seat is rated solid Democratic by Inside Elections with Nathan L. Gonzalez. Jackson Lee was first elected in 1994 and won re-election in 2022 with more than 70% of the vote after being unopposed in the Democratic primary. So, Sheila lost her spot, lost her chance to become the mayor of Houston. So she's going back to go back and try to reclaim the seat. Looks like she has a challenger and one of her old interns. The other intern, he said, you know what? It's not even worth it. Isaiah said it's not worth it. I'm going to throw my support behind Sheila. I believe that she can actually get the money we need for our district. I don't want to go ahead and challenge her. Let me go ahead and kick it, guys. Also, I want to shout out to my boy Ray, and I see Original up in here as well, too, guys. And we just covered the Sheila Jackson Lee. I'm going to just get this stuff out here real quick, and then we're going to go ahead and, for those that want to speak on it, definitely go ahead and speak. Let me go ahead and touch up real quick on the reverse migration and Black people. This is from The Guardian. It's up in the Jumbotron, guys. It's up in the description. South to Black Power. Can reverse migration help Black America? From 1915 to 1970, an estimated 6 million Black Americans left their homes in the South, fleeing Jim Crow laws and racial violence to seek out new beginnings in the North and the West. 5 decades later, the New York Times columnist and author Charles Blow says it's now time for these Black Americans and their descendants to return. In his 2021 book, The Devil You Know, a Black Power Manifesto, Blow argued that the way for Black Americans to truly overcome white supremacy and affect social change was to gain political power. They could do this, he said, by moving back to the South and concentrating their voting potential in key Southern cities that already have large Black populations and eventually take political control of certain states. I see DJ coming up here, so let me go ahead and get him up here, and he can put him in the co-host. South to Black Power, HBO documentary, picks up where Blow's book left off by looking at some of the reverse migration that has already happened. The film follows Blow as he speaks to historians, activists, and local politicals who have moved back to the South, some finding success in community organizing and others still fighting within a broken system. From the time that the first enslaved Africans touched down on the soil that would become the United States of America, the majority of Black people have existed in the southern region of the country. Even today, even though the majority is only a slight majority, is still where they exist. Blow told The Guardian in an interview, there is a lot of sweat and blood equity put into building the infrastructure that became the American South. I would love to see Black people engage in reclaiming the benefits of the work that their ancestors did. Blow himself, who moved to Atlanta after 2 decades in New York, makes clear throughout the documentary that he's not seeking to create a Black utopia. There are no Wakandas, he said. The simple basis of his proposal is that Black people should have more of a say over how they're governed. While several large cities have majority Black populations in the South and have made progress in creating places where Black people can thrive and feel safe, they are hampered by the chokehold white conservatives have on the rest of the region. Take, for example, the water crisis in Jackson, Mississippi that left hundreds of thousands of people without clean drinking water, a crisis that came about after years of neglect from the majority white state legislator. If Jackson had a state government in Mississippi that was actually responsive to black people rather than hostile, black people, would have never had to deal with the crisis of this magnitude, Blow said in his documentary. Blow's proposal has precedent. In the 1970s, a group of students at Yale Law School came up with the idea of taking over state. This spread further with a writer at Playboy suggesting Vermont, a conservative stronghold, as a testing ground. By 1980, Vermont's population increased 65,000, the largest population increase since the days following the American Revolutionary War. And with the population growth came a change in politics. They changed from one of the most conservative states into one of the most liberal states in America, the state where Barack Obama wins the highest percentage of white vote in 2008, Blow said. Blow dismissed the northern bias that racism is worse in the South. Its history may be fraught when it comes to anti-black discrimination, but black people have experienced racial violence everywhere in the country, not just the South. He made the point that many of the cities where black men were killed by people were destination cities for many black individuals in the first great migration out of the South. Racism is not a regional, Blow said. And by returning to the South, black Americans were given a chance to regain a sense of ancestral belonging that they had to leave behind when they fled all those years ago. The vast majority of black people existed for so long in the American South that our culture is part of American Southern culture, Blow said. Southern food is primarily black and enslaved people's food. The music is heavily influenced by black people. When I'm here, I pick up all of the sensory things that I feel so familiar because it belongs to me. There's a sense of belonging that may not be tangible or articulated. Blow gets personal in the documentary, returning to his family home in rural Louisiana and meeting with cousins who had never moved out the South. A conversation with his family highlighted one of the many challenges of Blow's proposal, the perceived notion of opportunity. If you work at the mill, then your son automatically works there, one cousin said. It's hard to get out of those confines. Blow himself acknowledged that he left the South for more. Later on in the conversation with colleagues at the New York Times, Dean Beckwith, his former boss, pointed out that he himself would have never become the executive editor had he not left New Orleans. But opportunity does exist in the South, particularly for black people, Blow said. In the 2018 Forbes compiled list of cities where black people are doing the best economically and a number of southern cities that make the list. Blow emphasized that he is not asking people to forgo career growth or success that many find in larger cities in the North and the West. I always say to people, if you're thriving and your work is thriving and you feel safe and you feel like your family is safe, you may have already found your community, Blow said. But there's just a lot of people for whom that's not true. Blow continued. They cannot afford to buy their schools. They cannot afford to buy their schools are subpar. They feel under threat from the legal system and the policing system. They feel stuck in a cycle of hopelessness. There are a lot of people, and I say to those people, you don't have to do that. He's asking that people be deliberate when seeking opportunities, that when weighing where to settle down to consider opportunities, there's so many things in life that are bigger than you, Blow says. Sometimes when you're deciding how you're going to live your life and the choices that are going to be made, it has to be about community success. South of Black Power will air on HBO on the 28th of November with the UK date to be announced. Of course, it's already it's already on Max. If you guys haven't had a chance to catch it, definitely go ahead and check it out. It was a pretty it's not the longest documentary, but it's a pretty good documentary. So definitely go ahead and check that out as well too. We'll go ahead and touch up on the we're gonna touch up on the last topic real quick, and then you guys that want to come up here and speak, by all means, come on up here to speak. Shout out to everybody in the space. Definitely go ahead and tweet the space out. What's up, DJ? How's the connection? The DJ in the space? Yeah. He's in the space, but I don't know if his profile's there, but I'm not sure if he may be doing something. But let me go ahead and get to the last topic that I want to touch up on, because all of you guys know about the situation going on with Harvard.
What was good, everybody? Newstoter, Black State Up. What's good, everybody?
Nothing. I was just making sure that you could hear me and everything was straight.
Yeah, everything hunky dory. Go ahead, get to it.
All right, so let me go ahead real quick and touch up on this final uh, article. Reports Harvard President Claudine Gay will stay in post after backlash on anti-Semitism testimony. Of course, I know, like I say, everybody's pretty much heard about it. There's been a major backlash, about people trying to actually get Claudine Gay fired. Um, and also the president of the University of Pennsylvania as well too. So I'm gonna touch up on that real quick. And like I said, if anybody that wants to speak, feel free, guys, to come on up here. This is from the NABJ, one of our curation partners on Newstoter. Articles up in the jumbotron as well too, guys. Harvard President Claudine Gay will remain in her post at the prestigious Ivy League school following her comments last week at a congressional hearing on anti-Semitism. The New York Times and the Harvard Crimson are reporting. Only months into her leadership, Gay came under intense scrutiny following the hearing in which she and two of her peers struggled to answer questions about campus anti-Semitism. Their academic responses provoked a backlash from Republican opponents, along with alumni and donors who say the university leaders are failing to stand up for Jewish students on the campuses. Some lawmakers and donors to the university called for Gay to step down following the resignation of Liz McGill as president of the University of Pennsylvania on Saturday. The Harvard Corporation, the university's highest governing body, met Monday and was expected to release a statement on Tuesday about Gay. The Harvard Crimson student newspaper reported Tuesday that Gay, who became Harvard's first Black president in July, will remain in office with the support of the Harvard Corporation following the conclusion of the board's meeting. It is cited an unknown source familiar with the decision. The university did not immediately respond to an email from the Associated Press seeking comment. A petition signed by more than 600 faculty members asked the school's governing body to keep Gay in charge. In an interview with the Crimson last week, Gay got caught up in a heated exchange at the House committee hearing and failed to properly denounce threats of violence against Jewish students. What I should have had the presence of mind to do in that moment was to return to my guiding truth, which is that calls for violence against our Jewish community, threats to our Jewish students have no place at Harvard and will never go unchallenged, Gay said. Testimony from Gay and McGill drew intense national backlash, as have similar responses from the president of MIT, who also testified before the Republican-led House Education and Workforce Committee. So, yeah, man. And you had a number of major donors. I mean, I forgot, somebody was talking about, I don't know, somebody was talking about withholding like $100 million or something like that. I mean, they were talking about withholding major bank if they keep her in place. But hey, they've already made a decision. But you had a number of donors coming out saying that they were going to withhold that money. They weren't going to support if they kept her up there at Harvard. You know, when they say it hits the fan, it really hits the fan, y'all. So shout out to all my people up in the space as well, too. I see we got a good number of you guys up in here. This is the conversation tonight, guys. We're talking about Claudine Gay in Harvard. We're talking about Sheila Jackson Lee and her defeat as mayor, running for mayor of Houston, but also Sheila Jackson Lee is once again running to get that seat back in Congress. And we're talking about the reverse migration. Charles Blow, he has a documentary on HBO Max. It's called Black to South. It's called Black to South. If you guys have not had a chance to check it out, definitely go ahead and check it out. It's a pretty good documentary as well, too, guys. So definitely go ahead and check that out as well. So shout out to all of it's actually called South to Black Power. I'm sorry about that. South to Black Power. So shout out to everybody up in here. Let me give a shout real quick to my man, Black Pressure. Black Pressure, thank you for your contribution on Cash App. Shout out to my people over there on YouTube, guys. On YouTube, make sure you go ahead and subscribe. Click that notification bell. Share out the broadcast tonight to all your social media platforms. Like it, leave a comment. Michael, I see you came up here. Would you go ahead and would you like to say something real quick? You there, Michael? Okay, let me check and see again. If
two things happened today. Twitter did another update, and
oh damn, sorry.
Yeah,
Let me just take me off.
You say you want us to drop you down? You said.
Yeah, you can take me down. I was just listening. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. I saw you you came up here to speak, so I was gonna go ahead and let you get it in or whatever. But okay, no problem, Michael. We dropped him down. But anybody else that wants to speak up in the space, and like I said, we got a number of topics tonight, y'all. So it's not a, it's not an empty slate. There's a number of things that we're talking about that's been heavy in the news cycle. Sheila Jackson Lee, I know a number of y'all were happy that she actually lost. Sheila Jackson Lee, I didn't know she was 73 years of age too, and I spoke about that before. I really think they need to start capping some of the age of people up in Congress as well too. I know she's going to be running again, but I really think 62, 63 should be kind of the limit where we go ahead and start capping some of this stuff off and trying to get some young blood up in there. The whole situation. I don't know how familiar you are with the actual situation going on with the actual the reverse migration. Black majority state. He was up in the space. He left, but he's one of the main people that actually talks about that. Take for instance, there's a number of states I believe that actually fall underneath that criteria. When you start thinking about Mississippi, Louisiana, I'm not sure if Alabama's one, but Louisiana, Georgia, and I do know you have a northern state like Delaware and stuff like that. I know everybody's going to say, hey, you know what? Certain states I'm not moving to. You can't convince me. There's nothing you can do that's going to convince me to move to a state like Alabama or Mississippi or whatever because of the long history of racism and white supremacy that runs rampant and have ran rampant in that state as well too. So a number of people, they say, that's completely off the table. I can't mess with Mississippi, Alabama, but there are other options as well too. I said we got my man Original up here, and I definitely want to hear what Original got to say about the topics tonight. Original, we any one of the topics, all of the topics you want to touch up on, definitely feel free. I definitely want to hear what you got to say about it. The situation with Claudine Gay, I know we have a number of people online. I know a number of Black people. They people were saying that she wasn't a Black American or whatever. I know Gay is that's a name that's a Black American name, but there's a number of people that have been saying things about her heritage or this or that or whatever. I don't know where Claudine comes from or not, but I know for the fact that she hasn't been in that post long, and they were really trying to get rid of her. I mean, so it is what it is. But Original, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Peace, Black power, and lineage-based preparation. I think Claudine Gay is Haitian, so I know there's a great deal of dialogue that's going on with the.
Real quick, before you go there, Original, I want to say this right here. Do you think when these people, you think, and I know this is going to bring up another conversation, but do you think the people are looking at Claudine Gay and say, you know what, that's a Haitian up there, or are they looking at her saying that's a Black person up there? Just your personal opinion.
A Black person. That's what they're looking at, a Black person. And see, it's the Jewish community who feel that she should resign because. But let me say this though, the Jewish community has never been an ally to us. They have always tried to undermine us. They have always undermined us with our procreation and our progress. And they would come in as if they are an ally, but then they would do all these other things by trying to disrupt primarily our procreation. And like as I said before, the NAACP is owned and controlled by Jews. Remember when that former Clippers owner, he told that Black boy he was the head of the NAACP either in Los Angeles or California. And he said, get out that boy and tell them that I'm a good person. And the fool went out there and did it, and then he got fired because they knew that was just too stupid because they had all this the tapes where he would just calling Black folks everything but what their mom and daddy named them. And so, but they've never been an ally to us. And so I think people should understand that because, see, as you notice, that they started threatening us on social media saying, well, we're taking names and we're going to remember. Take all the damn names you want and remember whatever you want. But understand this, they need us more than we need them. See, they've always manipulated us and making us think that we had similar issues when we don't, because of slavery. And see, part of it is because they claim to have been enslaved in Kemet, but the data don't match up. And when they say they were enslaved and who was ruling Kemet at the time, the data doesn't match up. And so they've always ran this scam on us, making us think that they were an ally, and they never have been. And now that they want to threaten us, saying that they're going to remember this and this, that, and whatever, okay, fine, go ahead, remember what you want to, but understand this. See, just like here in this state, Black people are like 33% of the demographic here in Georgia. And when this Jewish guy, John Ossoff, ran for U.S. Senate here in Georgia, he ran and didn't promise Black folks anything. He said what he would do for the illegal aliens and the gay community, but didn't offer Black folks anything. Now, see, in Georgia, Jews are 1.2% of the demographic in Georgia. So if you 1.2% and my demographic is 33%, why the hell would I vote for you without obtaining resources for my demographic? It makes no sense. But see, that's the convoluted mind of a lot of Black folks in this city, and there's a lot of Democratic shills, some of them on the radio and in other places, and they continue to push this garbage. So I will say that about that, but they see Claudine Gay as a Black woman, and that's what a lot of these Black immigrants don't understand. They think, see, the white people are going to them, telling them, yeah, you're not like that Black American. They just always complaining and this, that, and whatever. And they think if they're going to be the so-called good little Sambo, then they can get stuff that we don't get. But then they find out, once they use them, they want to run back to us, and we're like, the kitchen is closed. We are no longer serving, and if we were open, we would not serve you. So that's the attitude that's going on right now. So I just want people to, is that, and as far as moving to somebody, well, I'm in Georgia now. I was born and raised in Georgia, and I'm back, and I'm gonna be in Georgia. Okay, this is what my family is. But I want to say this to people: don't let. But there was an article that I posted in your chat several spaces ago, and the article was it talked about that Black people in like in Mississippi, they were growing in number, but they were not growing in power. And so I'm gonna see if I can find it, and I'm gonna repost it in there. Look at it. Let's see. I'm gonna do a search for it and see if I can find it, and I'll post it in the chat. And so what would happen is, like, this lady who's the U.S. senator right now, she ran. Mike Espy ran against her, but see, prior to her running, she was a Democrat. But then she switched up. See, I think there may be more people, just like Jackson, Mississippi is 80% Black. I think there are more Black folks in Mississippi than we are being told. But they want to keep it, whereby they're just, maintaining everything for themselves. And so until Black people, organize and make sure that we're getting what we deserve, things are going to continue like this. And so, and the other thing that I want to say is that now I didn't watch it all, but I got to, I use a different process to watch that, South to Black Power. Now, the one issue that I take with that documentary is they was in Powder Springs, Georgia, which is not far from me, where I live. And they went to this Black lady house, and you can tell it was already orchestrated or whatever that they were going to her house. And she was just talking about, voting and doing this and that, and how she had to get out there and vote and da-da-da-da-da. But my only issue is that if he's just talking about, us moving to these states and then going ahead and voting the same boule agents into political position, that's not going to work. We're going to have to change the entire makeup of who we vote into office, because these people have not represented us well at all. And I think that we need. I'm sure he understands that, because the one thing I think it's great for us to, as many of us as possible, to move back to these states to try to, to form some semblance of power. But I think we need to make sure we do it in a manner that's going to benefit us. Because if we're just, moving here just to say we got this big block of black people here, and then we're going to do this, but yet we're still voting the same boule agents into political positions, that's not going to do us any good. Because see, one thing about, now I have to get his book. I don't have his book and I haven't read his book, but I did see part of that documentary. But the one thing about Charles Blow is, I understand this about him, that he is somewhat clicked in with the boule crowd, because he's on MSNBC. He was on that black news channel that went belly up or whatever, And so I just want to make sure that, that he understands exactly what we are fighting for. We're not fighting, just to have someone in a position or just to have enough of us in an area. We're fighting, we got to make sure that we are standing up for our rights. We're not against any other demographic. We're just for ourselves first. That's how that works. But I really didn't see the part that I saw. I really didn't see, any of that. And so I just want, people to understand that, that's one of the things that we have to, really work on and make sure that that come into fruition. Because see, like what I said earlier about the Jewish people, see, John Ossoff's parents, see, they do forecasting. His parents supported Mayor Maynard Jackson when he ran for mayor of Atlanta. And so John Ossoff had a picture of him holding up one of Mayor Jackson's signs, and him and Mayor Jackson in this photo together. But he floated that out there on his campaign later on to try to show black people that I've always supported you. But the one thing about that group of people, they are some of the most devious and conniving people, if they're not the most devious and conniving people on the planet. And they'll do anything to convince you to go out and help them. And their issue now is that they're trying to figure out why did black people abandon them? Well, we didn't abandon you, you abandoned us. And as I said before, in the 1910s and 20s, Jews performed more blackface than any other demographic. And the reason that they did it was because they wanted to take the target off of their backs and put it on our back. That's not an ally, that's an enemy. They've never allied with us, and they never will. All they want to do is exploit us. But like I told you before, Newstoter, there was a survey that was conducted on black people years ago. And three things that came out of the survey that was interesting. They said that black people talk on the phone longer than any other demographic. They said black people watch more TV than any other demographic. But what was key and critical in that entire survey, the survey said that black people were the most loyal of all the demographics in this country. Now, let's look at that loyalty. Now, I want you to look at how black Democrats, whether they are an elected official or just part of the rank and file voters, same thing with the Republicans, but black Republicans and black Democrats, they vehemently fight for these two parties. They are very loyal to these two parties. And these two parties have exploited that loyalty that black folks have for them. If you look at both of them, see the Democrats, the black Democrats will say the Democrats well, do this, and that, and the Republicans are racist, then the Republicans say, well, how can black folks still vote for Democrats and they're not doing anything for them? Well, now the party is doing anything for us, but yet they get but black people in both parties are loyal to these parties, and we don't get anything out of the deal. It makes no sense. And remember when I read that part of that article when Donald Trump ran in 2020, he started that platinum plan from Ice Cube contract with Black America, and in three sections of that platinum plan, he talked about minority businesses and minority. It was three things when he talked about something for minorities, and once he did that was no longer a platinum plan for black folks. That was for all these so-called minority groups to come in and take all the resources, and we end up still with nothing. That's why I will not be voting for Donald Trump or any Republican that can't come out and support lineage-based reparations for us. See, that's been the trick bag all along with both of these parties, and but yet they need our vote to win, but they don't want to do anything for us. And so for me, that process is dead. It's no longer happening with me. Either you divvy up some resources for my demographic, or I'll just stay at home and don't vote. And I don't have an issue saying that. And what I'm hearing that because I had talked to a brother, he and I worked together. He said he called me today, but he called me yesterday. I wasn't at work yesterday. He said, he goes, hey man, he said when I called him, he said, I just want to apologize to you. But I was telling him about how the Democrats are not doing anything for black folks and whatever. But he finally saw a video of some of our people in Chicago explaining what was going on in Chicago. He said, oh, damn, that's exactly what Original was saying. He said, so he called me to apologize. So a lot of this is that people are not aware, and we are going to have to put up some type of marketing campaign to try to make our people more aware when we interact with them. And so they will know. But I just want people to know that we do not have any friends, and we have to watch what everyone is doing. But make sure, whoever you're voting for, just make sure that you're asking them, do they support lineage-based reparation? Make sure you say lineage-based reparation for U.S. descendants, however you want to phrase it, U.S. descendants of enslaved, ADOS, the American Negro, whatever, FBA, whatever. But just make sure you're speaking only for us and no one else will be included, because if you allow them to throw in ambiguous language, then we've already lost. And I'm gonna land with that.
All right, thank you, Original. I appreciate that. Miss Avery, I did see you with your hand up. Did you want to add something? I'm not sure if Miss Avery's there. Miss Avery, are you there?
I'm here. Thank you for having the space. I just wanted to say regarding Sheila Jackson Lee, it is a great day for the city of Houston. I think that's where she was running, or Dallas.
Is that you again, Stephanie?
Yeah, oh God, you're blowing me all up.
And it's like this is second profile in 2 days. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. It's a great day, but it'll be an even better day for Black America if we get her out of Congress, because I know that once she get in Congress, she's going to double down on her stances as far as foreign policies, as far as immigration and reforms, stuff like that. So we definitely got to get her all the way above the paint. As far as Harvard has been one big foolish smorgasbord. You know, I say that if these people want exactly, and if these people want to drop, forget about their donations, then maybe they should rescind their degrees. I mean, fair exchange is not robbery. We have accommodated these people as much as we possibly can, and all they did was disrespect us. So was Michael Jackson right when he said that they were parasites? Absolutely. You know, they made him apologize 1,000 times for that. But because of who he was, they didn't really, really give him any hard pushback the way they do Kanye West and anybody else. So fair exchange is not robbery. Far as reverse migration, that's been a beautiful idea. I've been speaking to a couple of people about that. So that's definitely something that we really need to push a little bit more. And that's it for right now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sweetie. I didn't know who the profile was. So I was like, oh, got a new person up here. So let me see what they got to say. And when I heard the voice, I'm like, I know who that is. So, but shout out to my girl, Stephanie. She's finding a way. She's making a way no matter what. She's got, this is her second profile in 2 days, not even including her main profile. So shout out to Stephanie. She's maintaining. She's going through she's in the Twitter jail like so many of us have been, and she's still she's out on parole right now. So real quick, I wanted to add about the migration, the reverse migration, and of course, I'm definitely a proponent of it. I definitely like the actual logistics of what it could actually do for Black people. I just wonder, how would you go by implementing it, for the simple fact that, hey, okay, a number of us in here, you got a regular 9-to-5 job or whatever. You may have responsibilities in terms of family and this and that or whatever, and I know, of course, it's not for every single solitary Black person in the country, but I just wonder if you had a large mass of Black people, move, let's say, to a particular southern state or city or whatever, one of the main things you have to have, I know, set up, you have to have employment there. You have to have housing. You have to look at, education, schools and stuff for your kids and things of that nature as well, too. So I just wonder exactly, in terms of if you did get a number of Black people say, you know what, I'm down with that. I like to go ahead and move, and, I like to go ahead and create something someplace else. How do we go about having the infrastructure in place to go ahead and accommodate all these people at one time? Because people got to say, hey, you know what, I got to have a job, because I have a family. I have to have a place to live at. I have to look at the schools and everything else like that as well, too, that my kids may be going to, a child might be going to. So I just wonder exactly how do you go by, implementing something like that, especially with a group of people like Black people, quote unquote, who our finances don't go as long as some other groups as well, too. How do we go about doing it? I know people say, you got family members you can live with temporarily and this and that or whatever. What happens if you have a job that doesn't transfer, So then you have to just go ahead and you have to find another opportunity or something like that. Is this for a select group of people who may be entrepreneurs and they can take their jobs or wherever, and they can go ahead and hey, they're not tied down like so many other people that have to go in and punch a time clock or whatever. So I just, like I say, to me, it's a great idea. I just wonder about some of the actual roadblocks that may be a little difficult to navigate, especially in the beginning. Now, once you go ahead and you get a number of people down there and stuff like that, then I think it makes it a lot easier. But just that initial push when you're first setting everything up, I just wonder how you go about doing that. Go ahead, DJ, you got it.
Yeah, my bad. I'm here. So, hopefully this thing went up in the Jumbotron right here. Hold on 1 second. Okay, if you get in the top left-hand side, y'all, Jumbotron, I put a post there. Roz, the so-called son of the city, has sold his peoples out. So the same thing originally said about what his conversation with his friend that with that person was originally told by original, and he saw it later on in the news what's going on in Chicago. The same thing going on over here on the East Coast of North New Jersey. So you already know when houses go up on an auction block, we supposed to get those houses for bare minimum nothing. People that live in, working, got generational heritage in the city. So every once in a while, these dollar house options come up, and it's supposed to be for working class families who live in this, in the area and that have been here, yada yada yada. We ain't getting those houses, Black Norkers, yo. As Black Norkers, we are not getting those houses. Those houses are going to the LLC boys, aka the foreign investors. That's China and all these other jokers. So when we say, hey, black state, this, that, and the third, my original conversation with black majority state right here, Big Red B, make sure you follow the Big Red B. I was trying to get folks to move back into Essex County. I wasn't even really thinking about so much moving south because I was already living in D.C., Maryland, or whatever. And that didn't work out for me only because I didn't have a vehicle the whole time I was there. It's like, I jumped ship from here to move down there, even though it worked out for me down there. I had 2 jobs that was pretty decent, but I just wasn't making a good living at those jobs. And the only thing that was down there, obviously if you live in the inner DC DMV area is government jobs. Well, I ain't getting that. I got a record. You know what I'm saying? This is why I hustle. You know what I mean? So back to the situation that's going on up here in North. We've been, we never had a chance up here, bro. I understand my grandparents came from Virginia, North Carolina, came up here to escape what was going on in the 60s. You know what I mean? A lot of my great aunties that are still living today, they changed their name from their original, God-given, name their mother and father gave them to, an Islamic name because they didn't want to be dealing with the last name of the slave master and stuff and all this other stuff. I talked to my folks, hey, what you think about moving back to the South? This is what we're trying to do, yada, yada, and this is the reasons. Man, I'm telling you, it's like a trigger. Like, what you say about me, Naka? It's like one of those type things. Like, what you said? Boy, if you don't shut up, man, I'll pop you in the mouth. You know what I'm saying? You don't even know what you're talking about. And it's like, I don't even get a chance to say anything else after that. You know what I mean? Because it's their way or the highway. You know how old folks are. They don't want to hear anything. You can't tell them anything as far as changing their mind. But it's over with for us up here. I ain't even going to hold the conversation up. When you go to East Orange, right? This is where Trash Naughty by Nature, of the Fugees and all that from. It's like original saying, we ain't going to single one of them out. It's the Spanish people. You know what I'm saying? That's where they at. And it's the tethers, that's what we call them. You know what I'm saying? The Africans or the Caribbeans. So let's be logical. We ain't never had an opportunity up here. We've been too busy with our nose doing one thing, fighting white supremacy, while these people, like Dr. Claude Anderson has said, they ain't coming here to be your friend. They're coming for resources. But go ahead.
Real talk. Like I say, and I just wonder about the actual, like I say, how do you go about, the initial move and having things set up so people, if you had, let's say within this year right here.
I'm going to answer that part too. My bad. You know what I mean? Just went on the tangent. Sometimes you just got to be quiet. So obviously, I lived in the South already, and I got family and folks down there. It ain't as cheap as it used to be. You know what I'm saying? But it's still better than living in the northern city of whatever state you are at, because it don't matter what state you at. You could be somewhere in Arizona. If you in the city, it's expensive as hell to live there. But if you go south of the state, it's cheaper. That's just common sense. You know what I'm saying? Other thing is too, when we talk about, if it would it work at night, it's been working post Underground World War. Us moving and migrating back and forth over I-95, that's what we call it now. You know what I'm saying? I got folks that's in Baltimore or Virginia, like where should I go at? You know what I'm saying? Like, I can land at any state and be good and shit. You know what I'm saying? Excuse my French. But as far as the expensive, I've been looking at apartments and stuff like that in Delaware. They got 3-4 bedrooms for under $1,000. And I'm talking about in the beautiful neighborhoods of like Dover and Wilmington and all this other stuff under $1,000. You know what I mean? So imagine if I wanted to go rent a house, it probably would rock me $2,000 a month, probably with all amenities included. Just looking at the base cost of the rent per month. You know what I'm saying? And what is it? A tax-free state, Delaware. You know what I'm saying? This is what we're planning on doing, man. So I don't think it's really that much of a big move, other than the basics you said. One, I definitely got to have some type of resources coming in as far as employment. That is the cause, but thank God I know how to hustle. Those that you've been working all your life, you'll figure it out. I looked up the jobs that just were IT playing around in Delaware. Man, we talking $50,000 and up jobs. You know what I mean? Stuff that I might not even have the skills for, but you might. You feel what I'm saying? So, it's really up to you to really just do a little homework, because if you're going to move somewhere anyway, you will have to do the homework. What it's going to cost you to fuel, to move, what is the job going to be at? Am I good in the neighborhood? Do I know anybody? You have to do that homework. Even if you didn't know that, you would still take opportunities of risk to go to the place you wanted to go, to research it, to say, okay, this is the place for me. I can see myself moving here. But me moving down south, That was just me as a single individual going on a whim of a family member. And the situation didn't work out the way it was supposed to have worked out, but it still worked out for me because I made it work out for me. You know, sometimes some of us don't have a choice, but I don't really think it even matters if folks migrate or not. We were already down in the South, we were already over here on the East Coast. I think a lot of the pushback comes from folks that's like, when they hear this idea that's on the West Coast, the Midwest, and certain parts of like Texas, Arizona, or whatever. But, go ahead.
All right. And I see Black coming up here real quick. I'm going to read this comment and then I'm going to get to Black. Polo Styles on YouTube says, DMV is where the money's at. Blacks are doing good. I just moved back to DC where I'm from. So shout out to Polo Styles. He's giving a shout out to the DMV.
Hey, real quick, Polo Styles. Do Bowie, Maryland got the baddest black one? I'm just asking the question real quick. You know what I'm saying? You know, Capitol Heights or, somewhere else might get jealous. Baltimore County, you know what I'm saying? They might get jealous.
And let me, we're going to kick it to Black. And I know he's well versed on this topic as well, too. And Black, what's your opinion on, on I mean, you can touch up on any of the topics tonight as well, too. I know the reverse migration is your thing as well, too. But how you doing tonight? I definitely want to hear what you got to say.
Hello. Jay, hello, Newstoter, DJ, Original, Miss Avery, and all the folks in space, Bruce, Darren. So I'm doing good. I got the day off unexpectedly. So I'm kind of playing hokey. I end up sending
42.
Yeah, I end up texting. He's not my boss, but he manages the account that I work under. I end up texting him about this Black South, situation. But I had an incident overnight, and so it was like I had to essentially check in to figure out what happened. And as I'm going through this in my mind, I'm thinking, oh damn, God is really trying to push me to Delaware way quicker than I expected. But man, there's a lot of good points. Original made some good points. I want to read from Malcolm X when he founded his Organization of African American Unity, OAAU. He essentially addressed the questions that Original had, and I see others having who do live in the South, and they often say, definitely move down here. Just keep your politics, wherever you come from, Northwest, whatever. They just don't want you to come down there with those liberal-minded politics. That's a very important thing for the people in the South. I've read posts where they say it is the way that it is because of the politics. So there is this conservative-leaning, identity for people down in the South, and they like it that way. And they don't want it to be ruined, in a sense, with all of the liberal agendas that have kind of ruined some of these northern big cities. But Malcolm X talks about not only voter registration, but also educating the population on elected officials. He talked about even running officials. In fact, all the stuff that we talk about, and holding them accountable. And really keeping an eye on them in case they start to, stray away from the path. So that's what we talk about all the time. And some of this is like you go back in time and you get confirmation that you're essentially on the right path. You're saying the right things. You have the right, knowledge base to move forward. And we do talk about Delaware a lot. There is a Christmas party coming up that I'm going to do my best to attend because it's a Christmas rally for the woman who is running to be mayor of Wilmington. But I just found out her husband is actually running to be state representative also in Delaware. So they're essentially, a family of politics, a political dynasty, I guess, because they got some kids and grandkids. And so it's a beautiful picture, a beautiful image, and I want to do what I can to try to help and participate in that process as much as I can. But ultimately, It's not for 100% of the folks who don't live in the South. We know there's a more of us that live in the South than don't. So the majority of us actually already do live in the quote unquote South. And the numbers are that 8 million or so have already moved south since 2000. So everybody recognizes that this migration is happening. It's already happening. It's happening on its own. It's happening because of all different reasons. Many being gentrification. Increasingly, it'll be Hispanification or illegal immigration that is going to push us out of places that we are used to historically being comfortable, getting elected, or getting someone in office who looks like us but does not necessarily represent us. And the more and more we wake up to that, and our people wake up to that and understand what that really means, I believe that they'll start to see the quote unquote South as the best opportunity. And that means that the jobs are either going to be there, or the jobs are going to follow us there. So what happens is, just like in Atlanta's a really good example of this Black Mecca, super well-distributed marketing throughout all types of media and entertainment and everything like that for decades, quite literally for decades. And they essentially manifested this Black metropolis, megapolis of all these different counties and communities around the Atlanta area. The problem now is we have the Democrats who are flooding in Hispanics all over the place, wherever we are, and they're trying to balance and effectively take away Black political power wherever we have these numbers at. It's going to be very hard to do that across the southeastern United States because we have significant population there. They would have to bring in tens of millions of Hispanics in order to pull that up. So it's a race in time. It's a race to get our people in position, people elected. It's a race to have Black agendas. We're really racing against time, because if we simply just stay in place and do nothing, have California replicate for New York City of all other areas where we do have these large population numbers. So it's going to take the courageous, the brave, the bold, the willing, the people who, as you said, either have a business or a skill set that they can transfer, and or who simply say, I'm sick and tired of living like in my city where Black Americans own 1% of the businesses, even though we're 30% of the city population. Just getting sick and tired of the situation that we're living under, the racist oppression that we're living under. I watched this video from the woman who was in Isaiah Washington's space. Beautiful, brilliant Black American woman, business professional, contractor, the federal government. To me, it was an atrocity. It was as if they murdered her over and over and over again, economically so. And on top of that, they really tried to bury her multiple times over and over and over again. And this is a professional who was getting the highest ranks, who they actually took through the ranking process more times than anyone else in the history of these contracts. She passed with flying colors every time. She did everything that she was supposed to do, and they still tried to kill her. Again, professionally and economically, and she's still alive. She's still fighting, of course. But if they could do something like that to someone who is like the top tier in her industry, in her skill trade, they could do that to any one of us at any time, anywhere in the country. And so the problem, really, when we get to the heart of what the problem is the problem like someone like her doesn't have any authority behind her to actually help protect and defend her rights to exist in this country at an equitable level with everybody else. And so she is an island fighting this fight all by herself, you know, with some legal resources and everything. But at the same time, she doesn't have a state. She doesn't have a state attorneys general. She doesn't have 2 senators. She doesn't have multiple U.S. representatives who are all coming together to ensure that the federal government treats her right, rectifies the wrongs that they've done, because they literally stole from this. I mean, they stole everything from her. And I'm talking about, you know, 10 zeros behind the number in front worth of economic opportunity. And so this we don't even know how much this happens, how often this happens, because they're so sophisticated with the systemic oppression that they could do it really, really early in the process, so that the person who's getting harmed doesn't really realize they're being harmed and that they're being the theft is taking place. And they simply take the idea, push it over to someone over there, they repackage it, change little things about it, and then boom, now their cousin is in position to make the money that this Black American person really created the lane for. Someone mentioned Kanye. I believe Kanye, for what it's worth, he's, you know, he does what he does, it's all shock and all, but he really let us know what was going on. Like, he really gave us a really clear inside perspective as to what's going on. And oftentimes we look at it as, oh, that's a separate person, that's a separate thing, it has nothing to do with me personally. And that is something that I would hope that we would refrain from, and we really start to look at everything that happens to each and every one of us as a part of all of us. Because once we start to really think of our existence in those terms, then we will act and move accordingly. We will respond accordingly. And I think that would change everything about our existence, even if we never moved, even if there was never this consolidation of our population and we stayed integrated and eventually were annihilated. Over the course of us being slowly but surely annihilated, we would at least move as a unit, as a people group, and react to things together in unison, and not as if that person's outside of the collective or whatever it is that we do today. So, you know, I hope that kind of answers it to the best of my ability. I thought the Charles Blow thing was phenomenal, because it's an audio video representation of a movement. And so it's planting seeds, it's planting ideas, it's planting thoughts. I've witnessed people come into the movement and add so much value, so much hyper intelligence. And I only hope that he is authentic in his desire. That video was shot before the 2022 midterms based on the conversations that were had. His book came out in 2021, and he has sprinkled, you know, a news article here, and this gets a little bit of a press run. So it looks like for the past couple of years, he has kind of consistently tapped into this thought process. However, even in the video, he basically stated that he's just unto himself. He doesn't have the ability to make it happen on his own, and nobody really does. It's really up to all of us to make it happen. Those of us who can, those of us who will. And then really by focusing on the 2 states that we know we can get, Delaware and Mississippi. If we just focus on those 2 states, we're talking about 1 million of our population. We can get both of those states with 1 million of our population. And that's not a huge ask. That's not like something that's crazy or outlandish or impossible. The jobs are there, the opportunities are there, the housing is there, the land is there. all we would really have to do is make it happen, and then watch what happens after that. Because really, you know, like in everything, we all have war, and when you win a battle, kind of settle back and see what the opposition does. My personal belief is they're not going to do anything, because they don't ever do anything. They are very slow to react. It takes them years, if not decades, to kind of catch up to things. And if we are really, really exercising supreme intelligence, supreme wisdom, supreme knowledge, we will always stay ahead of the curve, anticipating what they may or may not do, and always being in a position to defend, prosecute, put to death if necessary, people who would attempt to stop our ability to have self-governance in this land, in these states. And I'll just end on that.
All right. Real quick, guys, make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Definitely go ahead. If you have not, retweet the space out, guys. Go ahead and retweet the space out. Let's try to get more people up in here if we can. If they can't get up in here, then at least they can go ahead and they can hear the replay as well, too. Same for my people on YouTube, guys. Definitely go ahead and share the nice broadcast. Click that notification bell. I don't know what's been going on with YouTube lately, but after every broadcast, when you go to analytics, YouTube has like one person viewing the actual damn broadcast. It takes them hours, I guess, to go ahead and adjust the actual thing. But yesterday and the past 5-6 actual broadcasts I've had, even if it's 15 people over there in YouTube looking at the actual video, at the end of each broadcast, they'll say there was only one person viewing the damn thing. So I don't know exactly what the hell YouTube is doing over there, but yeah, they are constantly screwing me with the analytics and stuff. So when people say that they screw around with the analytics, they are not lying. So I really don't even know exactly what the analytics really looks like in terms of what we're doing. So you just have to take their word for it, because there's no way you can really challenge it. But definitely go ahead and share the broadcast out for all my people that's over there in YouTube land. Definitely go ahead and share it out. Share it out to all your social media platforms. For those that can support us on Cash App, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news media curation platform today in America. Once again, $Newstoter. We're looking for anything that's a dollar donation. That is greatly appreciated. We're not trying to break the bank, because we know our people are struggling in these times. So if you do have $1 that you can contribute to the platform, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. If you do not have Cash App, we have the Venmo and PayPal up in the Jumbotron. Same for my people over there in YouTube. In YouTube land, we have the PayPal and Venmo up in the description on the actual screen. You guys can see the Cash App. But like I say, any amount helps. And $1, if you got that you can donate or contribute to the actual platform, is greatly appreciated. Like I tell everybody before, we're working on trying to get a membership base to Newstoter as well, too. So that'll probably be towards around Christmas time, towards the New Year. So we'll have cheap, affordable, just membership for people that want to actually, support the actual platform on a monthly basis. It'll be very, very affordable. $2, $3, $4, $5. If you ain't got that, we'll have something for in $1 something range as well, too. So any little amount that you guys can do to support the platform, we're trying to do it. Like I said, we're never trying to break the bank, because we understand people have bills. You got kids, you got family, you got all kind of things going on in your life. So for those that can support, we definitely appreciate it. We want to go ahead and build a community on there as well, too. We want to get an actual network going so that we can go ahead and get some of this content out there in larger mass, so more and more people can actually see what's going on, because it's great to have these Twitter spaces, and it's great to have the YouTube channel, but the numbers are not huge. So the more and more people we can actually get that's retweeting our information and actually, on the actual site coming together to go ahead and get stuff out there, the better off I think it'll be in terms of, getting this information to our people out there, no matter where you're at. We have curation partners all over the country, from Florida to New York to Georgia to California. So we're in the Midwest, we're in the East Coast, we're in the South, we're in the North, we're in the West. So we're putting the content out there from our partners and everything else too, like that. Like I said, but the thing we need is to build up an actual network. So we're going to try to do that. And we'll definitely need people to try to support us as much as possible. I know it's not easy in this time with this recession-like economy that we have, and so much crazy stuff going on. But we definitely support. We definitely appreciate the support that everybody gives as well too. Let me go ahead and kick it to original, and then I know DJ, you got your hand up there as well too, and anybody else in the space, guys. We're talking about, for you just coming in. We feel free to talk about it. We're talking about the Black majority state. Just got through talking about the reverse migration. Charles Blow. We've been talking about the actual documentary he has on HBO Max as well too. But we also been talking about Sheila Jackson Lee. We want to get anybody's thoughts and opinions on that. And we're talking about the Harvard situation with Claudine Gay as well too, guys. Definitely feel free. Don't be brand new. You guys know your way up in the space, so definitely go ahead and request that microphone and come up here and share your thoughts about these 3 topics tonight. Go ahead, original. You got it.
Oh yeah. I posted that that article about Mississippi, where it stated that Black people are gaining in number, but not in power. And so people can go in the chat and pull that and look at it. But yeah, I want to appreciate what Black majority said. But I just want to say this right here. I don't know, Black, if it's really about conservatism or liberalism. I think it's about anti-Black racism. But see, I went to an Atlanta City Council meeting several weeks ago, and there were several Black people who spoke, and they all had the same issue, that they could not get these contracts with the city of Atlanta. And Atlanta is supposed to be this Black Mecca, but yet, as I said before, you have a lot of Black people. They are they're loyal to both of these Democrat and Republican Party, and so. And I talked to someone that I know that one of their siblings used to work for the procurement department for the city of Atlanta. And from what they was telling me is that basically these Black folks are not reliable when it comes to, Black people or certain Black people getting these contracts. They were changing, like there's a procedure they have to follow, but they were changing that procedure like midstream. So the people had to start over with submitting their, I forget what they call it, ROF. I'll just say submitting their contractual, their application. I can't think of the proper word for it. But you have that going on here in Atlanta, and this is supposed to be a Black Mecca, and I don't understand that. I really don't. Yeah, that's something that's just really wild to me. When I look at it, and I say to these people sometimes that, we have to begin to, make corrections with our own people, because some of our people, they just lost, and they, I don't know if they'll ever be found. But I think it is. I think we do need to kind of concentrate on, moving in areas where we are in large number, because these white people, regardless of if they're Democrat, Republican, liberal, or conservative, they all got an issue with us, unfortunately. And, and so, I'm looking at it like, how we have to, really rein in these people who are supposed to have been, who are supposed to represent us, and they're not. Because, like I said, when for the past few times when the people have ran for mayor, these are Black people running for mayor, right? They will all have on their platform what they're going to do for basically the gay white community and the illegal aliens, but they offer Black people nothing. And I just find that to be puzzling, that Atlanta right now is still a majority Black city, but there are some Black people here making money, but then there are a lot of them, they are basically blocking Black people from making money. I mean, some of these people have these ideas that you have to wait your turn on some of these jobs. There was a situation where this individual, he was working this job, and the people there told him that he had to wait his turn, but he had the qualifications for the job. So he applied for the job and got it, and left them over there looking stupid. That's how some of these people, that's how they operate. So they got to. It's a strange way to operate in some of these places. But I always say, hey, if you got the skill, go for it. And if anybody don't like it, hey, that's their problem. But I just want to say that, and with Sheila Jackson Lee, I hope the people of that, whatever that district, I think the 18th district you said in Houston or whatever, I hope they do not elect her back into office, because she's been in office long enough, and look at how the people are suffering. That seems to be systemic with all of these black elected officials on the local, state, and federal level, that they get into office, them and their cronies benefit, but the black masses don't benefit. And that has to stop, because if we're voting these people into office and they can't do for us, why are we voting for them? It's insane. But I'll land with that.
All right. Thank you, Original. DJ, go ahead. You got it.
Hold on 1 second. Real quick. Get back up this way. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, I'm trying to get back up this Twitter. What you call it? Yeah, so, at the end of the day, everybody here knows some dope talking points or whatever, but I just want to reiterate what's going on up here in the North, Chicago, and obviously we done seen it throughout the course of about 30, 40 years out in California, West Coast, LA, where our folks are getting firebombed out of their houses by these Spanish people. So with that being said, we're not the majority out there while we stand out there. You know what I mean? When we did the report on the black farmer, you know who they are, I ain't even gonna mention their name, you know what I mean? Out there, in whatever state they at, I ain't even gonna say for the record, you know what I mean? They ain't had no help, man. You know what I'm saying? They were sitting ducks out there until our folks went out there. We pulled whatever resources we could do. People tweeted, called people, hey, look, shame the devil, all this up. Look what the sheriff doing to this black farmer. And our folks went out there, you know what I mean? So that ain't gonna happen all the time, you know what I mean? And when you really look at what's really going on with these, got my fingers up, migrants, you know what I'm saying? Asylum seekers, ain't none of that. What they're committing crimes across the country, all this other stuff, they're still saying we're the main criminals, and black people are the main cause of what's going on with the J gang and all this other stuff. And it's our fault of what's going on with immigration. So why do we even need to stick around in these places that we wasn't originally at anyway, but we might have established dominance in some way as far as like building up the cities, the landscape, just building up these northern and Midwest and Western cities and townships or whatever states. But hey, man, we haven't had an opportunity to do anything with this stuff. And if it wasn't because of a lack of just not giving a damn, you know what I'm saying? We already know we've been ostracized, you know what I mean? By Jim Crow laws, this law, that law, that, black code this, you know what I mean? You can't hang out in the corner, you know what I'm saying? Lock them up for 5 years, damn, for just hanging out and drinking a beer. So we never had an opportunity to survive and do anything in these states. I don't care where you're at. Let's talk about China, right? So if you go over to China right now, you see they suffering. They ain't got no manufacturing work orders because the United States, remember, took our work orders from our Detroit, Ford, GMC manufacturing plants. All the plants that we were thriving at had, mid-American lives or whatever the case be. We was living in the middle class or whatever the case be. They took that stuff from us. Now look what China turned around and did to us as a collective, put that Wu flu on us, you know what I'm saying? And now all of a sudden, United States crown foul. Well, hold up a minute. Good for you because we don't need you anyway. Ain't we the ones with the 50,000 patents Marcel always talk about? That's the stuff that China got anyway. That's our technology that they remanufacture, aka remixing. So now the United States gonna try to build a semiconductor hub over here in Arizona, but you notice they ain't putting it in a black state. See that? So why do we even continue to rely or even need the government, any of these white folks to give us jobs, any of this stuff? We don't need these people because they never helped us anyway. So you already know I'm adamant about this business stuff. So remember that case where the judge just recently denied that business owner who was black, American, I believe, a race-based discrimination case filed against the SBA saying that you must prove race was the but factor, or because you were black was the but factor of you not receiving an SBA loan. Then the prejudice as biatch. You know what I'm saying? Guzman, who is the head of the SBA, going to turn around and say you have to write an essay to also prove the reason why you were discriminated against. Skank, you ain't even going to read it. It's going in the paper shredder. You know what I'm saying? Why y'all keep trying to play us, man? And this is why they say we the most violent, because you keep doing stuff to us to make us violent. So we could just skip the formalities. We ain't got to talk to nobody moving forward. We emancipated, right? We about to just go move where we want to move. You know what I'm saying? But we going to do it together. But when you talk to a lot of our families about, hey, we need to move back in together, man, you hear the ultimate pushback. But they will still turn around and blame the white man. I'll jail there.
All right. Thank you. Let me go ahead and get back to Stephanie, and I'm gonna get back to Black Majority State. Like I said, we got a number of people up in the space too, guys. So definitely, if you want to go ahead and speak, definitely come on up here and speak. We're not gonna have a long space tonight anyway. So definitely, if you want to get it in, definitely come on up here. Stephanie, go ahead, unmute your mic.
Bow down there, like we should.
You there, Stephanie?
Black Majority can go first. Thank you.
Okay. Black, you go ahead.
Hey, let me say this one thing real quick. The lady, Claudine Gay, original's right. She is Haitian descent. Her family came here, whatever, in the 60s, 70s. Her mother, I think, was a nurse, and her father was an engineer. You know, they met in New York, had her, and you know, now we're here talking about it. There you go. Go ahead, Black.
Hold on real quick. Let me ask you a question real quick. Do you think, well, I mean, because I know everybody keeps mentioning that she's a Haitian and stuff like that, but like I asked a question earlier in the space, do you think that they really care? You know, when they look at her and they really want to fire her from Harvard? Do you think that they want to, when they look at her, do you say the first thing come to mind? Oh, you know, that lady there, she's a Haitian, or do they say she's a black woman?
You want the truth or the lie from me? You know what I'm saying?
I want the truth.
The truth is, no, she's going to separate herself.
No, I'm not talking about her.
No.
Yeah, I'm talking about when the white folks that's cutting the food right now. I'm saying when they look at her, do they say?
I'm just getting to a point, bro. I got you. She ain't gonna look at it like that, yo. She can say she black all she want, but she really know what time it is, because I had these conversations with these people. This is why we gotta move, y'all. But remember, Dr. Claude Anderson said they're not coming to be your friend. They're coming for resources. So I'm old enough as a 43-year-old black American male that this country was only black and white all the way up until the 1980s. I'm born in that year. You know what I'm saying? So these folks came here in the 90s, yo, with their own ideology, own religion, own cultural traditions, and all this other stuff. And they didn't say they was black then. They don't say it now, because I have the conversations with the same folks and even newer folks that are other, and they have been saying now that, damn, you know, my parents made me say that I don't identify as black here, or I'm this, that, and the third here. And I'm not saying all has that ideology. I'm just saying the mass majority. You feel what I'm saying? And especially of her generation, yeah, she don't think with a black mindset, more or less 9 times out of 10. And obviously, we know what's going on across the world. So shout out to Kyrie and Kanye and everybody that's speaking out. You feel what I'm saying? Because this has been happening to our people. I can't speak for nobody else long enough that the J gang been messing with us. So when you say, hey, these people ain't going to look at them no different way, we know that they don't care about that. Because we could go look just recently within the last year or two how folks from I ain't even gonna mention the names as much because it is what it is at this point. But old boy that got killed by the police, I think it was out in Minnesota, Indianapolis, or something like that, got shot in the back of the head because he was still in the car. What did his family say at the news press conference? I moved here because I thought this was a better place. You coming from the Congo. How did you think this was a better place, bro? His sister said, oh, us as Africans, I'm not black. I don't identify as black because you know what that means when we say black. No. And then you got our people out there on the steps rallying and agreeing with her. Not even understanding your own history. We just had a conversation yesterday about that South African, see the Ayala, whatever her name is, saying I'm colored. Why ain't nobody teaching history no more? Or what the hell's going on? Or while folks have forgotten to mention that, hey, look, yeah, we may have been the ones that advocate for you to come here, but y'all went the white supremacist route and segregated yourselves from us. So when we actually, or I ain't even gonna say, wait, when I talk to these others about, hey, look, this is what's going on in Black America, man, you get the eye rolls, the teeth sucking. You feel what I'm saying? Oh, I don't agree with that. Well, I'm not black. I'm this. Well, I don't have to worry about that. I've never been through that. And again, this is not all, but we talk about the mass majority of these others, yo. So when we hear the conversations, well, hey, look, this demographic of people did so well. You know, the Asians, we just had a conversation with them, the minority. Why can't you black people pull yourselves up out of bootstrap? That's what these same others that's supposed to be poor and ostracized like us, they tell us that. So it's like, hey, you know, these other folks, the whites, they could say, hey, well, she black or whatever, because they ignorant anyway. They the original N-word. Remember?
Well, I mean, she is black. She is black.
That's melanated, bro.
Well, I'm saying she is black. She's not a Black American or.
That's melanated, bro.
What do you mean melanated?
You're melanated. You know what I'm saying? Again, bro.
Well, I mean, I'm saying you would agree that there are black people of other nationalities. Not like Black Americans aren't the only black people in the world.
Okay, hold on a second. So here's what I hit people with. Nobody can answer. Tell me this or give me the definition back. When we say we're black, what does that mean? Because they don't say that. And when they do say,
well, some of them say they black. Some of them say they black.
Let me finish the rhyme for you. Let me finish the rap. When we say we're black, what does that mean? And when they say they are black, what does that mean?
So hold on. I mean, so you're saying hold on real quick. You're saying that there's no black people from the Caribbean or black people from Africa that look at themselves and say they black just like you and I say we black?
They identify by country or origin, sir. I'm Congolese, I'm Jamaican.
But I'm saying you do have those that do. I'm saying, but you do have some that identify as being black too.
Well, we're talking 1 out of every 10. 10
I don't know. I don't know the percentage, but I'm just saying that you would agree that all I'm saying is that Black Americans aren't the only black people in the world. You would agree with that?
That's melanated, bro. Stop saying black. See that?
Well, are we melanated or are we black?
Yeah, we're melanated, but we identify as black. So what does black mean to you?
What?
The question. Back to that. What does black mean to you when you say you're black?
When I think of black, I think of a Negro. When they say, well, you know, that was a Negro, that was a slave, that was, you know, that's what I think of black. You know, so I'm saying there are other, whether you want to say we're melanated, this and that, or whatever. I'm saying there are other melanated, other black people in the world. That Black Americans aren't the only black people or melanated people in the actual entire world. That's the reason that people say we got to delineate, because here basically what they're saying is that, hey, these other people look like us, but they have a different history than us. So we have to delineate because everybody thinks we're all the same. That's what the people start talking about, flat blackness and this and that or whatever, that we have to differentiate ourselves because, hey, if we didn't differentiate ourselves, nobody would be able to tell us apart or tell us any different between a Caribbean black person and a Black American. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to delineate and we're going to say we're Black Americans from chattel slavery, and those people, those other black people have a different lineage than us. So, I mean, I think you would agree with that, right?
Yeah, that is true. You could say they have a different lineage or upbringing or whatever, but if this person's wiki is saying that their parents came here in the late 60s and you were birthed as the person we are talking about in third person in the 70s, then all the dust and the smoke and everything was cleared. Now you could say that, hey, look, you were raised black, but we already know your ethnicity is not that, because some folks just don't identify as that. And the ones that do, they never turn around and say, hey, but I'm really, this is the whole argument of what we were saying, they're cosplaying us. You see that?
Now, the last name Gay's not a Haitian name either. So did she marry a black American man?
Well, my understanding is things saying that both our parents descent from. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I misread it wrong. Let me look at it again.
Because Gay definitely ain't a Haitian last name. So
well, remember, we were somewhat colonized by the same folks, French.
Yeah, but Gay's not a French. It's not a French name, though.
Where does Gay come from?
It would be. I think it would be. It would probably be English or Scottish or Irish or something. It ain't. It's not.
Yeah, but that's your opinion. So it would be in the same context.
Yeah, but I'm saying being here in Florida, I know a bunch of Haitians with last names and stuff like that. Like, yeah, that cat's a Haitian there. Like Gay, I know a bunch of Black Americans with the last name Gay. So she had to marry. That's what I'm saying. She had to marry a Black American with that last name, because that's not a Haitian. That's not a Haitian name at all. Gay.
Right.
Like Marvin Gaye, is that Haitian? Even though I know it's spelled different, Gaye. That's still not a Haitian last name. So she had to marry a Black American, or maybe it wasn't a Black American. Maybe it could have been a Jamaican. Because let's be for real, Jamaicans were owned by the British just like Black Americans. So that's the only thing I'm saying right there. But I know Black Majority's got his hand up too. So let me go ahead and get the Black. Black, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay, thank you. I came up to for original because he was talking about those contracts, Atlanta contracts. There's a Black man who led South Fulton into becoming its own city, organizing itself into its own city. And he talked about those contracts, saying with 33% of the state, we should get 33% of the contracts. There was a recent story which came out that said of the $665 billion in federal contracting Black Americans got, I think it's 1.6% of that amount of money. So, if we can go back to Reconstruction 150 years plus years ago, if we had consistent access to the state, local, county, and federal contracts, this is where the wealth is created in this country, quite literally, we would be in a much firmer financial and economic position. And so this is really the system, when we talk about these systems that keep us really marginalized, oppressed, and not just economically, it affects all areas of our lives, is these contracts, the contracting. And so what we seek, and I'm going back to the reverse migration, and not just moving to move because it feels good or because there's a job there or whatever reason that we are now using to move back to these southern states, but we're moving to put ourselves and our future generations in a position to actually control the contracts at the state, county, local level, but then also be in a government-to-government relationship when dealing with federal contracts, as well as having our representatives in the federal government in order to ensure that money comes into our state. So this is like extremely comprehensive. It eliminates 90+% of the issues that we deal with as a population. Immigration doesn't matter. I'm trying to think of all the issues we deal with. Policing, the education system, because we control that. We can change and alter that. We can change the policing. We can change the incarceration rates. We can change the training. We can change everything within our environment, within these states, because we have the authority and power to do it. Not doing that is paramount to essentially bowing down putting your head in between your legs or crawling up into a fetal position and allowing all of your future generations to essentially suffer simply because we were not willing to do something that was uncomfortable for as long as it may be uncomfortable, and I can't even imagine how long that would be, or some other reason that I can't even possibly imagine. I know we have attachment to birthplace, we have attachment to what the school district we went to, we have attachment to schools, we got all these attachments to these locations, but we've been constantly pushed out of locations. There's an entire Twitter account that just shows these maps where they wipe or black communities out of the way to put in highways or the St. Louis Arch or whatever else they put in to literally move us out of the way. And so this is a continuous process. It is a continual process. It's a process that will continue to happen in perpetuity, just like they're doing in the Gullas. They're trying to get those people off their land. They're doing zoning changes to try to swipe them off of that island. This is constant and consistent, and there's only really one way to stop it. You have to have the authority to stop it. And if you don't ever get that, we're never going to stop it. We're going to constantly be, unfortunately, complaining and pointing out and highlighting and acknowledging and doing all these studies and looking at the past and trying to figure out or understand why it keeps happening and not really understanding that is the system working as it's designed to work. It's literally designed to keep churning us like a wood chipper. Churning us like a wood chipper. If you can keep that image in your mind, then you'll understand that this is how the system is designed to work against us.
A hamster on a wheel, that I acknowledge.
Oh yeah, no doubt. So let me do the jumbotron. Claudine Gay, that was an attack against black women, black Americans. She got collateral damage simply by being in opposition, and then the part you added in about the small hats. At this point, it's kind of like, what do you expect? If you go against them, guess what? They're coming out to expect that it is what it is. You're better off simply not saying anything. If you want to keep your position, your house, your, whatever, your money in your bank, because they can freeze bank accounts and everything else too. Sheila Lee Jackson, oh God, thank God that woman and her overstuffed bunions and her overstuffed shoes, her jean shoes, getting in position of authority. In Delaware, they are literally taking the governor and having him run for mayor of Wilmington because they want to maintain power on that city, because that city is where most of the corporations are housed, and they don't want a black person to get that authority. And they just don't want us to have any real authority in this country. So, they're taking someone who literally had reached the peak of state government, instead of giving him a federal position to run for. They're saying, no, we want you to go back to this little small city of 70,000 people. That should tell us everything that we need to know. We should be throwing money or throwing volunteerism or throwing our phone bank. I'll do whatever I can to help a black American get that office, get that position. They had a situation where there's a black city councilman and the current white mayor who essentially tried to finagle him into removing a requirement for the city employees of living in the city of Wilmington. This is something that we discussed when I was there. So they wanted to remove this 5-year residency requirement, which means all the white people who live out in the suburbs can now essentially rape the city of Wilmington, which is 60+% black, rape the tax base, live outside the city, work in the city, make money out of the city, then go back home to their luxury lifestyle in the suburbs, while the people in the city suffer because you're essentially being governed by overseers. And so this was a fight back and forth, and then the community got involved. And this is why I say this community is very in tune. They understand what's going on, and they do fight. The community got involved. They fought back against it, and they recertified this 5-year requirement, which is extremely important when you have a majority city of Black residents. You do not want the suburbanites to control, and not only control the policing and control the trash pickup and control this, that, and the other, but they're making a living like vampires, like a parasitic vampire class off of the tax base of the people who live in the city. So I'll just end with that.
Thank you, Black Majority State. Like I say, for those that can support us on Cash App, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Definitely for those that have $1 that they can spare, definitely we definitely appreciate it. Let me read a couple comments real quick on YouTube. And Polo Styles, he says, of course, when me and DJ were having that conversation, he says, Black equals Black Americans is our ethnicity. He also says we are the only Black group, bro. So that's Polo Styles giving his feedback on YouTube. Yeah, I think that when and this is how I feel. I think that we are the face of Blackness. I think that we are when people think about Black, they think about Black Americans first and foremost, and that goes to show just how impactful Black Americans are when you have an entire continent and you have other regions that are predominantly Black, yet they think of a group in America as being the actual face. When you think of Black people, you think of Black Americans first and foremost. But like I said, there are other, in my opinion, but there are other Black people in the world, and we're not the only Black people in the world. We're Black Americans, but we're not the only Black people in the world. We got Black people in Asia. We got Black people in Africa. We got Black people in the Caribbean. We got Black people in South America. We got Black people in Alaska. We got Black people all over the entire globe. We are Black Americans, and we were the first group to be labeled as Black. And more so than any other group, we've taken that label, we've used it to benefit us. We love being called Black when other people say, they went by their nationality, their tribe, and everything else, because we had no tribe, because we were stripped of so much, we cling to that Blackness. So being Black, I think, is more important to maybe Black Americans than any other group in the world as well too. But I can't sit here and say that there's not other Black people. Like we don't own the entire name Black. Like I said, there are other people that was Black. And that's just my personal feeling. I know some people are going to disagree with it or whatever, but like I say, when you think of Blackness, you think of Black Americans first. The struggle that we had in this country, it has reverberated across the entire globe, and people see that struggle, other Black people, and I think they find strength in that actual struggle of Blackness. And I think that they, when they looked at in a country that was full of other Black people, they naturally say, you know what, I'm this tribe, I'm that tribe. But then, of course, when they come over here, they realize that, hey, that tribe stuff is kind of played out and cut out or whatever. And in America, they're not going by tribe. So personally opinion, I know people say melanated, they say this, they say that or whatever. But like I say, my personal opinion, and if there was not other Black people in the world, there would be no delineation. There would be no reason for delineation. There'd be no reason to say, you know what, I'm this and I'm that. Because people say, you know what, you only delineate something where people think that they can't separate, they can't tell a difference or whatever. So that's my personal opinion on that. I believe that Black Americans, have taken the actual moniker of Black and have taken it and gravitated towards it, where other Black people now can go ahead and say that. And maybe before they didn't want to say it, but like I said, they have no choice when they come over to America as well too. But that's my personal opinion. Let me go ahead and get to Stephanie. Stephanie, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay, I wanted to follow up behind what DJ and Black Majority said. First, I just wanted to say the origin of the name Gay. It's originally French, and the pronunciation was Gai. I noticed that when I'm here in New York, a lot of Africans, mainly West Africans, have that last name. Like they might have a Muslim name, but the last name is Gay. So Ibrahim Gay or whatever. So it could play either way, but it's definitely of French origin, and a lot of them have that name.
So what about the spelling of a Gay? What because I know that over there they have different ways of pronouncing stuff and stuff. Is Gay also the French version as well too?
Yeah, it would fall under the French word.
The original, like she said,
it's the original way.
Okay, yeah. You got to remember, this the King's English, so depending on where you was at, you might have said Naj or the N word. You feel what I'm saying?
I can honestly say, being born in Florida and being around all kind of Haitians for well over 30 some odd years, I have never met a Haitian with the last name Gay, spelled Gay. But go ahead.
Me neither. I've never met a Haitian person with his last name before either. Because that's the first time I've ever heard a person of Haitian descent with that last name.
And just real quick, it says again on her wiki that her parents are the descendants of Haitian immigrants. So there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Also, DJ, I wanted to touch in on what you were saying about far as with the what community, small hats, what they're doing in the Black communities, and of course their list and checking it twice. As far as I'm concerned, they can take that list and shove it where with a lit candlestick. Okay? It's we've been dealing with the same group of people for the past 100 years or so. Okay? And all these people ever did was move as close to the Black community as they can possibly move. They had shoddy tenement buildings. They had about 100 people in 2 apartments, practically, living in squalid conditions. This is what they had us living in all these years. Okay, they have made money off of us hand over fist. Okay, taking advantage of our struggle, and then they used it as a comeuppance. I mean, look at the movie Birth of a Nation by D.W. Griffith. That movie has brought the numbers up in membership of the KKK. Okay? And who were the producers? Who did it go through? The small hats. I mean, come on, they have done enough collateral damage in the Black community to turn around and say, hey, you need to ally with us. Or we're going to kick you out of banks. We're going to kick you out of your homes. We're going to make you lose your jobs. We're going to make it unbearable for you. It's too many of us to not try to stop this thing. I'm sorry. I'm not going to back down from these people. I'm going to say what I want to say and say how much, however, and whenever is possible. Because they need to understand that their privilege can only take them but so far. I mean, it's even bad when other people from that community is calling them out. That tells you that something is wrong. I mean, we're having fires here, believe it or not, through gentrification. Everybody knows what's going on. It's through gentrification. How many of my people have died in some of these fires or nearly died through smoke inhalation or carbon monoxide poisoning? Because of a certain group of people that are strategically setting these fires or purposely having gas leaks that you can't smell, but they're there and people are nearly dying from it. So, something has got to be done. It's got to be stopped. I'm 100% with Black majority. But like I said, we definitely need to form some kind of Black American PAC committee. So that way we can start taking up with these issues and get the CBC out of the way. Okay? And these other organizations, because they're nothing more than a hindrance to us. They have never actually done anything for us, but just do things to keep us quiet. And as far as Blackness is I'm concerned, a lot of people use Blackness whenever they can benefit from it. Okay? They only use it to benefit when it suits them. But any other time, it's I'm this tribe, I'm that tribe, I'm from this country, I'm from that country. So now everybody wants to say, oh, I'm Black now. Well, you know what? We've been saying that we were Black for years. We never shied away from that term Black, and we never shied away from our Blackness because we were never ashamed of it. Okay? Well, most of us anyway. But I land on that part. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Appreciate you as always. Let me go ahead.
Stephanie, just one quick thing.
Yeah, go ahead, because I want to get to Sean because he's a new speaker too. So.
Just 2 seconds. Hey, Steph, what's up with that building collapse? What is the start of the building fell off in New York? You know?
Well, what it is they're doing so much construction. Okay, there's so much construction being done in New York City. Not only are they not addressing the issue that New York is so many millions of metric tons overweight, but the bedrock is weakening. So with all these constructions, because a lot of these buildings are over 100 years old here. So we have homes that they're so valuable, they was in the New York Historical Society. They wasn't even supposed to tear some of these homes down, but they did. They cut through the red tape, and they tore these houses down. They started drilling. And all of that drilling is what's really weakening the bedrock here. Okay, not only did we got exposed with 9/11, you got 2 buildings that were worth, weight in tons with all the metal and rubble and stuff like that. That's tons. It weakened the bedrock. It weakened the structure of the city. And it's been years. So we constantly drilling. And then it's so bad that now when it rains, we having a lot of floods now. We never had this before. The water has nowhere to drain now. So that's it. Thank you.
All right.
So, I was just going to say, so with that being said, right, well, what is your thoughts on,
Wait, hey, before we go too long, let me go ahead and get Sean real quick. Sean, go ahead and unmute your mic, Sean.
Yeah, I came up because I feel compelled to speak on this black issue. From my understanding, growing up, looking at.
Hey, Sean, can we get you a little bit louder if possible? You got any headsets on anything?
No, I was talking with the speaker. Can you hear me now?
About the same, but go ahead. I'm trying to get you louder so the people on YouTube can hear you.
I'm gonna drop down and come back up.
All right. I mean, I can hear you fine, but like I said, I know the people on YouTube, they may have a little issue hearing you. Let me see if I get them a little bit louder now. All right, Sean, go ahead.
How do I sound now?
About the same, but go ahead. I can hear you.
Oh man, let me get the microphone. So I just want to speak on the black thing. So from my understanding, it's like nuance. It's like, what are you talking about? When you talk about black, I think people fail to make the distinction. Are you talking about race-wise, or are you talking about culture? Nobody else can claim the culture of black but Black Americans. And I think people don't take the time to separate the two. Because when we talk about race, you sound like a complete babbler or a person that doesn't deal with facts when you say only black people are the race of black. But I've actually never heard anybody actually make that argument as well. I just think confusion needs to be cleared up. When we're talking about culturally, ethnically, then that's us. Nobody else can claim that. But if we're talking about racially, yeah, there's other people that are on this planet that are considered black racial. And how we know is because you can take a stadium and we can take an African person, a Caribbean person, an Afro-Latino, and a Black American, and put them in a stadium full of 10,000 Asians, 10,000 whites, 10,000 whatever, other groups of people, and get on the intercom and ask those other groups of people to point out the black people in the audience. You think they're just going to point to the Black American? The term black, we don't control it. It's a worldwide thing that's been placed upon a certain group of people based on their genome. We don't control that. Hey, we could, great. But when we talk about race and you try to say that black people in America are the only race of black people, then you sound crazy. Sounds like you're flying in the face of logic. And I tune you out. And I get concerned that as a group of people, we fall into group think where we actually start thinking like white people, where history is alive and agreed upon. So we're just basically going to change the history up and make it what we want it to be. That's cool, but you got to get more people on board. That's what we're going to do. I mean, we're going to have to get the whole world to agree on our reinterpretation of what it is to be a black person. You know.
All right. Thank you. DJ, go ahead. I know you wanted to add something. You there, DJ? Okay.
Yeah, my bad, I'm in between. So, just to get back to what Stephanie said. So what is your thoughts about getting up out of tri-state area, New York or whatever, because of the what do they call it? Like you said, the bedrock is weakening. I've heard that from different demographics of life of folks that have moved over to New Jersey post 9/11. They have said the same thing, that they are pretty much forcing us out of the city. And I think the twist is over here in New Jersey, though, the white folks post North Rise, they are moving back into the city, North Essex County area. And we're pretty much moving out because the rent over here for a one bedroom now is $2,000. These folks know we ain't got the money for that. So when I was saying, hey, I see bedrooms down in Delaware, 3-4 bedroom apartments for under a stack. Then there you seen some spots that, like, majority of the utilities was included, probably something like electricity or something like that. But you ain't gonna be home enough anyway to be paying an electricity bill. You're gonna be at work or out doing what you're doing. So it ain't gonna be too much, but $100 a month, if even that, you know what I mean? So, it is what it is. But I look for spots that do include electricity because I know I'm running an electricity bill, studio equipment, and whatever else need to be turned on. You know what I'm saying? So that costs bread. You know what I mean? But I think it's time for all folks to get up out of here, because when you really pay attention, I know you see these tether gang folks robbing people down in Times Square and other parts of Manhattan. I know you see them hopping off these bikes. Where they get these bikes from, sister, if they poor? This is what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're poor and you're a asylum seeker, where did you get a motor scooter from that costs bare minimum $1,000, yo? I don't know, man. Go ahead.
Real quick, I want to add this too, because Trouble, I put it up in the Jumbotron, and Trouble, this is a tweet that she tweeted. She says, Ancestor.com says the last name Gay derives from the U.S., Canada, and the U.K. Massachusetts has the largest population of people with the surname Gay. So this is what Trouble, I guess what she found on Ancestry.com. Let me go ahead and go to a black majority state. I see no taxations up in here as well too. Like I said, we ain't gonna keep the space going too much longer, y'all. But for those that want to speak, go ahead and raise your hand now and get it in while you can. Black majority state, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay. I wanted to weigh in on the black conversation. It's interesting. Again, I'll look at Malcolm. So when he left the nation, and because this is like our space last week, so this is fresh in my mind. When he left the nation and he came back to America, and he was formulating this organization, he made it a point to call Black Americans Negroes. It was very specific, and then he connected Black to this global Black population. Right, this was his intention and way of, making this term a little bit more global. Now, with that being said, when I look at the Black Chinese that existed, there are pictures of them, very, very, way darker than I am, very dark skin. Papua New Guinea, black skinned people, the Aboriginals, black skinned people, in India, there are people who are several shades darker than Wesley Snipes even. And they are Indians. They're not Africans at all. So the question becomes, is it simply we're looking at a skin tone and we're saying because you have this skin tone, you are therefore black? Or is black something else? Because in my life and in my existence, black has always meant us here in this country. And I never, ever in my life extended that to any other populations. I just never did. It was never a thing for me. So, because we look at the Asians, and this is always the perfect example. You got all these different Asian groups, but they are not, even though they're all Asian, Japanese, Chinese, Thailand, Indonesia, whatever, they're not all the same people. And we all understand that and accept that. For some reason, when it comes to separating black and delineating black and making black this special thing, it's got to expand to this global population. And so do we include all these other Black, Chinese, Papua New Guinea, and Tasmanian people who were genocided, and Australian Aboriginals, and the black people in India as well? Do we consider them to also be Black, even though they themselves would not consider themselves necessarily to be Black, quote unquote?
You made an excellent point there, Black majority state, and I want to follow that up as well too. You may, and you're right. Those people there, if you look at the Aborigines over there in Australia, and like you said, some of the people you have in Asia, people that are really, really heavily admixtures and stuff as well too. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. When I think about Black, I'm looking at, I'm looking at a phenotype. I'm looking at the hair. I'm looking at the complexion. I'm looking at the nose. I'm looking at the lips. I'm looking at all of this stuff. Now, as a child growing up, and I can say this, my family, we watched a decent amount of movies. And one of the first movies I can remember watching was In the Heat of the Night with Sidney Poitier. Now, of course, I would find out later on that Sidney Poitier was a Bahamian. And when I saw Sidney Poitier, he looked no different than some of my uncles in my family. I didn't say, well, when I found out he was Bahamian, I said, well, Mom, Dad, I just found out Sidney Poitier wasn't Black. Sidney Poitier, it was a reason, he was in that movie, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Whether you agreed with Sidney Poitier's stance when he said, and a lot of people Black people didn't agree with his stance when he said, I look at myself as being a man first and Black second. He didn't say I look at as myself as being a man first and being a Bahamian second. He said I looked at myself as being a man first and Black second. Now, I thought that he should have said that he was Black man, a Black person, because when he was inside his mama's womb, before his sex was ever determined, he was Black. Before it was determined he was going to be a boy or a girl or whatever. If his mama would have had him in England or France or over there in Beijing, China, he still was going to be Black. So when I look at that, when I think about watching the movie Carmen Jones with my mom, and I see Harry Belafonte, and I see, even though she was mixed, the actress Dorothy Dandridge, and I'm looking at the cast and whatnot. Harry Belafonte, we consider him as a Black man. And Harry Belafonte, with what he did in the Civil Rights Movement and everything else, I consider him as a Black man. Even when I was watching, and I grew up down south in this area in Broward County called Pompano. They had a street named after the Good Time actress Esther Rolle. I didn't know till later on that Esther Rolle was actually a Bahamian woman, but Esther Rolle played on Good Times, and Esther Rolle played a Black American character married to a Black man with a Black family. Hell, Esther Rolle played in Rosewood. She played Don Cheadle's mother, who was gunned down when they started the massacre of the people in Rosewood and stuff like that. So, there's a certain phenotype to me that's Black American. Like like you say, some of those people, like the Aborigines and some of those people and the Pacific out there and stuff like that. Yes, they have dark skin and darker than us and straight hair and this and that. I believe that they are part of the actual, whether they say it or not, I believe that they may be part of the actual, Black race to a certain degree. But there's certain people that when I look at them, growing up, even the actor that was back in the 70s, Yaphet Kotto, who played on a lot of the actual Black exploitation movies and stuff like that, with all the Black cast and everything else like that. I always consider these people Black. That personally, I always considered them Black. I always thought of them Black. When Billy Ocean was singing when I was a little kid in the 80s, Billy Ocean was a Black man to me. So to me, like I said, and I agree with Sean saying, when you're talking about the culture of America in terms of Blackness, it's Black American to me. It's always been Black American to me. Muhammad Ali and Jackie Robinson and Martin Luther King and so many people, Frederick Douglass, like, those are Black Americans, and they are the foundation of America and what it is to be Black, of Blackness. When we're talking about, worldwide, globally, even though a lot of people are not Black Americans, I still consider them part of the actual race. No, they're not part of my nationality, but they are part of the actual race. It's like saying, I mean, if you ask a white person, hey, from America, you say, you know what, is Mick Jagger a white man? And they say, hell yeah, Mick Jagger is a white man. Is Mick Jagger an American? Well, no, he's not an American. Ask him, is Paul McCartney or the Beatles or any of them, John Lennon, if they were white men, or are they part of another race? And they're gonna say no, they're white. Straight up. You ask them that, they're gonna tell you straight up, they're white men. Now, are they like Bruce Springsteen? Born in the USA type white? No, they're different type white, but they're white nonetheless. So that's just the way I see things, But like I say, growing up, and like I say, being in Florida and seeing other black people and stuff like that, and then hearing you go up to them, you say, "Oh, this is a regular black person," and you start hearing them with the accent and stuff like that. Because even as a young kid, I told my dad, I said, "Yeah, I thought that kid was actually black till I heard him speaking. He was speaking Spanish." My dad was like, "Well, he is black. He's just a black Hispanic." And I said, "Oh." So he's like, yeah, he says, your slave master taught you English, his slave master taught him Spanish. So yeah, he's a different nationality than you, but he's black just like you, except he came from another part of the world. His colonial master was in another section of Europe. So that's the way I look at it. Like, yeah, I look at the actual, like I say, the culture of Black American is different in other cultures of blackness and stuff like that. But at the same time, I can't say because, like I say, white folks aren't going to sit here. They're not going to sit here and tell you that the Queen of England or King Charles ain't white. They're going to tell you straight up, yeah, King Charles, he might not be an American, but they'll tell you straight up, yeah, those are our cousins. And you see the love affair they have with these white folks as well, too. The media over here in America, when the actual royal family comes, how they hooping and hollering, how they cutting up, how they on a bended knee and everything else like that. They know these people are white. They may be white people that live 4,000-5,000 miles across the pond or whatever, but nonetheless, they're white people. And they've always seen them as white people. They just see them as their cousins over there in Europe. So that's my take on it. Jess Cakes, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, Newstoter. I was just coming up here just to agree because it's always been like that for me too. If I see a dark complected person, for the most part, that appears to be black, I just assumed that they were black. It wasn't until you actually listen to them talk, and they take you like an insult if you call them black. That's when the delineation start coming in. And they've actually made it seem like being black was such a terrible thing. Like, oh, no. It was a really bad insult. So here it is. Now that we are delineating and stuff like that, now it's getting confusing again just because it's just like, okay, no, they saying you'll get an African and say, oh no, I'm Black American too, because I'm black and I was born in America. We got away from African American for the same reason. The Jamaicans and all the other people, they will get upset if you mistake them for black people. So now it's just crazy. It's the mental gymnastic that we getting from the diaspora, and some people that's included. It's just crazy. I do agree that if it is going to be anything, we need to make it clear as far as that we are pretty much the foundational or the I like ADOS and I like FBA. Because it is a difference. We're not all the same, and we know that. But the people that bring up, like Malcolm X and Martin and stuff like that, those people were outstanding and stuff. But I learned the person I'm in, the person I am now is not the same person I was 10 years ago. I didn't realize how bad the issues between Black Americans and the diaspora were. Even though we've always been accepting and stuff like that, I didn't realize how bad it was. And it's just like us as usual, we always for any challenge. So that's just what it is. I'll end it there. Thank you.
Okay. I hear the little one in the background, so shout out to you, Jess Cakes. Go ahead, Black Majority State. You got it.
Okay. Yeah, so no, I was going to say the online diaspora wars, they don't exist in the real world, unfortunately. Especially if you're trying to build politically, you're gonna meet a brick wall because most people don't think like that. They just don't think like that. They're just thinking, if this is something that I can work with, I can do business with, then let's build. If this is something that I can work with politically, then let's build. The Pan-Africanism, which had been in our population, really, I can go all the way back to 1787 and probably much further than that. So there has been different times and different periods where we had this romanticized vision of what Africa is, a romanticized vision of what the Caribbean is. I think we are the number one tourists who go to these Caribbean islands. And so there is this sentiment within the population who are not online, don't really know what's going on with this back and forth, who simply are like, they're black people, we're black people, whatever, let's get along, let's make it work, because there's these other people who absolutely, we know for sure, hate us and are working against us. And so what I'm trying to do as I, get on the ground a little bit, is just if I see a situation where an individual or a group that happens to be a part of the diaspora is acting in a very weird anti-Black American way, I'm going to take the time to point it out. I'm going to point it out. I'm going to say, look, these people are working against us, and we can't let the fact that they got black skin inhibit us or prevent us from acknowledging the fact that these people are working against us. I think it really is going to boil down to real world examples where a person can't deny it because they just can't deny it. It's right there in their face, blatant. But if you try to say, oh, well, I was online and this person said this and that person, it's just going to be like, you don't even know if that person really is the person that the avatar is coming from, to be quite honest. And it's really just been what I'm focusing on. If you go further south, for instance, we got these Black American gun clubs all over the South. And what do we see? They got red, black, and green badges. They got red, black, and green flags.
Can't stand that.
Stand on them. What's that?
No, I'm just saying I can't stand that, but go ahead though, man.
But that's what I'm saying. They stand on it, right? Because they are essentially saying we are anti whatever white America is when they do that. That's really like a symbolic way of them saying we are anti whatever this system is. So I think it's very nuanced and it has to be approached in that way. But again, we've got so many examples in the reparations movement where you can literally point out and say this person is working against us. This is what they're doing. It's very, very clear. And if you start making those connections over time as you're building relationships without that being the issue, you can start to sway people so that they understand what's happening in real time. But you can't lead with that. If you do, again, you're pretty much cutting your own throat. So I'll end with that.
Thank you, Black. Appreciate that. Go ahead, Stephanie. You got it.
I just wanted to say, Black Majority, I love you to death. But I have to say this. Unfortunately, it does exist outside of Twitter. And it has existed outside of Twitter for a very long time. Okay, I've had my fiance's aunt. She worked in a hospital in Florida. I forgot which part she's in, where it was the majority of people from those said nations, right? They treated her so bad that she retired early, okay, because of her ethnic identity, okay? My mother lost her job working at the bank because her supervisors, who were of origin from certain countries, they discriminated against her. They were saying all types of derogatory comments, making all types of derogatory statements about Black Americans and with this and with that. She wound up losing her job because they were doing things to try to fire her and undermine her. Okay? My aunt lost her job because she told one of them that she was going to meet them outside and whoop their woo-ha. Okay? Because they thought... because they thought that they can say things to her and let her get away with it. And my aunt they was in for a rude surprise when my aunt said, "Meet me outside after work." That right there was what got my aunt fired. Okay, because she told that woman in front of her supervisor, in front of human resources, if I didn't need this job, I would punch you dead in your face. And that's what got my aunt fired, because they really liked her work performance. They liked her working. A lot of them have made posts. I was discriminated against for filing for an apartment. I went to apply for an apartment, and the lady said, "Oh, you sound like a nice Caribbean girl." And I said, "No, my family is from the South." "Okay, I'm going to call you back." Never got a call back or anything, just to look at an apartment. So these people are very cunning on who they want and who they don't want in their establishments. They hire their own. They're around their own. Whenever they want resources or anything, they need information to help them out, they come to us. Okay, once we give them that intel, guess what? It's screw you. Thank you, nigga. We're better. We're going to do better. We're going to prove it to you every which way. I'm not saying all is like that, but it's too many to count. And we've been dealing with this mess for too long. And this is why we're in the situation that we're in, because we let it slide. And we've been letting it slide for so long because we really didn't pay attention. And we really was just like, okay, well, it's just water off the duck's back. But these people have been doing this for years. So it's just time to cut the apron strings and just move about the way we're supposed to move about. And that does include politics, and it does include business ventures as well. But we've got to put our differences to the side and say, hey, let's come together for the sake of our survival. And that's just basically it. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Let me go ahead and get to Just Cakes. You had your hand up. Did you still want to speak?
No, I'll let them respond to it. I'll wait.
Okay. Let me go ahead. Let me get to Sean then. Sean, go ahead and unmute your mic.
I'd rather follow Black so you can rebuttal or respond with
everybody.
Oh, that's cool. No, boys. Hold on. Let me go real quick then. Real quick. Hey, okay. So I got one for you right here, Stephanie. Claudine Gay, where it says right here. Damn, I just lost it right here. Okay, right here. Born August 4th, 1970. So, you know, you came when the smoke was settled. You know what I mean? Is an American political scientist who is the 30th president of Harvard University. Assuming office in 2023, she became the university's first, here you go, Newstoter, Black president in 368 years after the founding of the university. You mean to tell me it was no Stephanies out there? There was no taxations out there? She'd get it before one of them got it. It wasn't even a Rella out there? Where Rella at? Yo, get my baby mama on the phone. I'm mad. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, hey, I'm not saying that you know, that there weren't some other Black women or Black men that weren't capable of you know, filling that position before she actually got the position. I'm not saying that. I mean, we were just talking about the actual race of her. Like I said, her race is Black. Now, is she a Black American? You know, that's you know, that's a whole different thing right there. But you know, she is a Black person. That's all I'm saying. She is Black. I mean, I know we kind of on this here, a lot of people say, you know, you got to be an actual descendant of chattel slavery in this country to be Black. You know, I don't agree with that. Because like I say, Black, you're talking about a race of people. And like I said, at the same time, nobody in here would tell you that, you know, Princess Di, she wasn't white. I mean, so I don't understand how the white people from Europe can be white, just like the white folks over here and the white folks in Australia, but the Black people from around the world, somehow they're not Black like the ones over here. They're not the same nationality. They're not the same lineage, but they're black. I mean, it's just simple as that. I mean, they're part of the actual black race. I mean, a race is huge in terms of people. You know, you got Asians in China and you got Asians over here in America. Do they consider themselves? Do they consider themselves part of the same culture and this and that? No, but they do know that they're part of the same race, and that's all I'm saying. That yeah, you can be part of the same race and still not have any, historical lineage, anything tied to one another. And our lineage, our culture is different than somebody from Ghana. The person from Ghana might be black, but they're not a black American, and they don't share the same historical connection or culture that we have over in this country. But I'm not going to sit and say, well, like Vladimir Putin and I mean, some of these other people, and some of these people that's in politics and stuff like that. These aren't white folks. I mean, I don't know. Like I say, to me, race and culture and everything else, lineage, they're two totally different things. But Sean, I know you got your hand up, so go ahead, Sean, unmute your mic.
Yeah. It's just I think we have to be responsible. Take a step back, like, okay, you talking about culturally, because nobody can claim that but Black Americans. That's us. And I'm laughing if you try. Racially, I agree with what you said, because it just is what it is.
Real talk. You there, Sean? Or you done? Okay, I guess Sean is done. What you said, DJ?
Hey, so when I said that, right, it wasn't to throw off the space or anything like that too. So when we say, hey, look, what does black mean to you? Because this woman is of a descent that is fingers up black, right? So it says right here, black, other definition, because words have multiple meanings, and you will also have to check. And this is why I hate the whole new Google era, because I'm used to looking at books. You feel what I'm saying? Especially when, coming to writing stuff down and taking notes. So black by definition has multiple meanings, just like any other word. It says right here, belonging to or denoting a human group, not a race. You know what I'm saying? Belonging to the dark colored skin, especially of sub-Saharan African ancestry. The entire cast is black, but these folks don't identify as that. They identify by their either country surname of origin or their tribe name. You feel what I'm saying? And this is pretty much what we understand post Reconstruction, Civil War, rights, integrating with these folks. This is what we're understanding now. You know what I'm saying? And we've been noticing this stuff for a long time, but it's the same thing you just reiterated, which is we know now as indoctrination, all skin folk and kinfolk. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah, you may have the same melanated skin as I do. You feel what I'm saying? You're brown or black or colored or melanated or, what Negro, mulatto, whatever you calling yourself. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to the culture of, like Sean said, what it is to be black, ain't nobody else claiming that except us, because we make it to be as such. That's us. And not even just us saying in the sense that, no, I'm black, man. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm a knacker. You know what I mean? This is what these folks deemed our ancestors, yo. So we have carried on that name. This is why a lot of folks will always bring up my great auntie. When they went through their wave in the 60s, they made sure they went to court in the 70s and changed their name and got off that slave master last name. I got a Muslim Islamic first name and a country as last name, bro. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm like in the middle of all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So another thing is, right, well, hopefully I'll go back to my definitions. I'm glad you mentioned the Australian people, aka the Tanzanian folks. They are actual Tasmanian folks, not Tanzania, excuse me. That's in Africa, different spot. So a member of a human group, keyword human and group is another word. Those are two separate words, but those are key words. Having dark colored skin doesn't say anything about black. It just says dark. You feel what I'm saying? Especially one of sub-Saharan African ancestry. So back to what it says, keynote, Australian, a person of Australian Aboriginal ancestry. So you could say, yeah, I think those were some of the folks that actually did call themselves black too, was the Tasmanian people. You feel what I'm saying? Because they was, straight up black. But when it comes to what we mean as black, I'm glad black majority mentioned and brought up Malcolm X, because black also has a representation of a symbolization value, the symbol X. You see what I'm saying? And it also means unknown. So where do we come from as black people? There is no black town, black country, black city, black anything. This is just who we are, bro. Martin Luther King said we're amalgamation of people, but no one else want to be black. Even when you call our people black, they be like, man, don't call me that. They be ready to fight us. We be ready to fight each other, some of our folks, because they look at that as a derogatory thing, not understanding that this is what they called your ancestors, yeah, but this is really who we molded ourselves to be. So it ain't no offense to Miss Gay. Yeah, she's a melanated woman. You could say she's black because she was born here in America. She could say she's black and grew up around black people in New York City. Yeah, she could say that, yeah. And we should accept that as what she wants to identify as, to be honest with you. But when it comes to the ethnicity of this, that's all us, bro. The black stuff. You know what I'm saying? Black, Negro. This is why we having our arguments with each other. No,
So let me ask you a question. Sidney Poitier, he wasn't black?
He was in, not I won't want to say the word indoctrinated. He was schooled on blackness. Sidney Poitier, you know what I'm saying? He would tell you that. You know what I'm saying? I was schooled on the same thing with you know.
So Cicely Tyson, she wasn't black?
She would tell you probably the same thing. I was schooled on it, or you know, this is who we.
Well, I mean, but I'm saying, but if you're part of a race, it don't have anything. Like I said, we're not talking about culture. I'm talking about the race.
Not a race, because I just read.
Yeah, you read, but we can find other definitions as well too. There's a black race and there's a white race as well too.
Okay, so let's get to the.
So and while we talking, hold on real quick. While we talking about culture, I'm sure Italian doesn't look at himself the same way as an Englishman or a Frenchman.
No, they don't. So why should we look at ourselves as all black? We can't flatten blackness. We different. You know what I'm saying?
But they look at themselves. They do look at themselves as being white, though.
Okay, great. I'm glad you brought up the word white. White, by definition, could mean a person from the Caucasus Mountain. But we know white really as the definition of the color, like a cloud or paint. So when you say this person is white, just like we wouldn't really be considered the color black, because we're looking at it from a color perspective. You know what I'm saying? You're not the color darkness of black, midnight, rock, carbon, even though that's in your DNA. You know what I'm saying? You're not that color. Well, if anything, these folks say they're brown. We're the original brown folks, if anything, because that's our color. The copper color knacker, you know what I'm saying? The red bone knacker, you know what I'm saying? Some of us, you know what I mean? Some of us are carbon knackers, you know what I'm saying? Dark skinned, you know what I mean? In that sense, meaning by definition, what I just said, you're dark, you know what I mean? Or blackness, you know what I'm saying? Meaning night, you know what I mean? Is words have multiple.
Yeah, we know the literal. I know literally that most people that's black, not actually the actual color of the crayon.
Let me say this last thing. So when you say white, right? The only white person is really technically a black person. That would make the oh my God, what you call it?
How could a black person be a white person?
Oh God, I just slipped on something like that. So an albino person is white. Literally the color of white, yo. But where do they come from? See that? So why are we calling the pink people, aka the Caucasoid, you feel what I'm saying, white? But if that's the case, because they don't really identify that. Remember, they came up with the race construct.
I know. And I'm going by the construct. I'm going by the construct that they came up with. So that's the construct that we.
This is their game. So yeah. We don't have to put along with it.
But everybody in this space been going along with that construct their whole life.
Right. That's why I said this is who we are. We deemed as such, and they deemed as such as well. So until we all decide, like my great aunt, to collectively go to court and change our name, it's just who we are. Because none of these other folks say that, and they've been saying that longer than what we know they have been saying it. I'm talking longer than, hey, Romello, we can't do business with you. Hey, what this dude talk about? What's this Okada word? This is back in the 80s. Pro West is nice doing this. You see what I'm saying? So even he told us as a black man, hey, look, these people ain't us, family. Throw this joke over the table too, son, and stomp. You know what I'm saying? We about to go take their block, B. You know what I'm saying?
I come up with this question right here. I say, if there's such a difference between us, and why are we delineating? You know, if there was no difference between us, it would be no point of delineating. It's no point of saying, you know what, I'm a Black American. This person's from Ghana. This person's from Jamaica. This person's from that. Since I'm just trying to figure out what's the point of the delineation. Isn't that to go ahead and to classify yourself as something totally different from somebody else that's perceived to be Black like you?
Again, black is not a race. It's just.
Come on, man. In America, Black is a race.
Bro, I just put you to that too.
Cause, but I don't care what when you go to that census, when you filling out a job application, you can say that it's not a race, but they got race on there. They ask you what race you are.
When we talk about the census, right? A lot of folks from different origins and backgrounds, they hate the census because they feel there is no place for them to check, hey, this is my ethnicity, nationality, origin, regardless of if I came from another place or not. People don't fill out the census, not even because they're illegal. It's just nowhere for them to fill out on the census. Some people don't fill out Black; they put other. Black, African American, they put other. I'm this, just American. Some people do that.
Okay, Black majority state. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay, man, this is a riveting conversation. So I agree with both sides because there's like it's going to be both sides because there's confusion. Unfortunately, if Brother Mocha was in space, I'm sure he would talk about the confusion. What I came up to say was that before the Anglo-Saxon decided and allowed the other Europeans to in fact be white, they were not considered white because they were considered swarthy or tawny, or they had this mixed race blood flowing through their veins. And so the social construct is, it is whatever the people in charge say it is. North Africans are considered white. The MENA, the Middle Easterns are considered white when they come into the country. There was a time when Mexicans were considered white. And in fact, a lot of Mexicans do consider themselves to be white, and they're accepted as such. So it is a social construct. It is what it is. And I think it's okay for Black Americans to say, look, we are a special, unique people, and we're not participating in this global Black thing that y'all are trying to create, only because it doesn't benefit us. It benefits you when you come here. It doesn't benefit us anywhere, to be quite honest, because when we go into Africa, and I've seen the videos, they call us dead white people, or say we have dead white people's clothes on, or they call us white people, to be perfectly honest, because they know we're not them. They see us and know we are not them. So that's that. But so I want to say this, as someone who grew up, and I was a teenager by this point when my mother remarried a Nigerian. I was someone who really, in my mind, wanted to sit in the bushes and wait on this guy to come out and hit him from across the street. So I have a very interpersonal relationship with these people. I know how these people act. I know how they think. I know the disrespect they have towards our population as a whole, because I heard it straight from the horse's mouth as a child. And I understand all that. I get it. I'm saying that, and I understand the job situation, and my condolences to Miss Avery and her family and everything that they've gone through, because we see reports. We're always reposting reports talking about them in the medical industry and all these different things that they're doing. The reality of it is this: we live under an oppressive situation, or an oppressive regime that's not going to take the time to single out the fact that when these people do evil things, that they're different than us, because they want to use them in order to put the stench of their degenerate cultures upon us. So when they do away with them, individual credit for place of, and we see that it's award shows for that. This person elevated the first whatever of this particular nation. But when they do something harmful, very rarely without someone who's aware or who has knowledge or who is really taking the time to point it out, are they going to put it on them? Florida's a perfect example. New York's a perfect example. Houston, which has one of the biggest enclaves of these people from these foreign places, is a prime example of the fact that they move in and no one, because if this was a true sentiment within Black America, we're not reacting like they react in Chicago. In Chicago, they said, these people are different. They're not like us. They're coming to steal our resources. Get them the F out of here, and we're going to fight you. We're going to vote differently. We're going to do this, that, and the other. In Houston, that never happened, and it's still not even happening today. So it's hard for me to then say, yes, in fact, in Black America, we're looking at these people as different, as invaders, as a problem, because we're not. It's not happening in the real world. It's not happening on the ground. They come in, they move into our communities, and people just accept them outside of Florida, New York, and California, because they've been dealing with them for so long, right? So they know who they are, and they get it. And they got rivalries, real, true, authentic rivalries, because they've been around each other for so long. I'm just saying, I got to look at things not for as I want them to be, really look at them for what they are. I got to get on the ground, make an assessment quickly, and figure out what's the most efficient path to move forward. And for me, politically, it's not to spend 2 months or 2 years arguing about the fact that this person lives on this street or this house is from some other country, when I need to focus on the 40 or 50,000 Black Americans that live in that particular city or in that particular area. And I got to get them prepared to vote and vote consistently so that we can get political power, because that's the most important thing to be focused on, not whether or not 1,000 of these people are from all these different places. It just is what it has to be.
Thank you, Black. I see a comment on YouTube, Polo Styles, and I got to address it. You says, Polo Styles says, so when it comes to reparations, by your logic, everyone Black gets reparations, right? Never said that. I don't know where you came up with that idea from. Not once have I said that. If you've been in this space, if you've been on this podcast, many times you heard that Black Americans, the descendants of chattel slavery, are the ones that should be getting reparations. That's the same way. Did every Asian get reparations for being in those concentration camps? No. Did the Chinese get it? Did the Koreans get it? Did the Vietnamese get it? Or did simply the Japanese get it? You know, the Japanese got it, even though they're all part of the same race. It wasn't the same. It wasn't a group. It was every person that was Asian in America didn't get reparations for World War II, been in those internment camps. So no, bro, come on. Let's not go to that point and start just throwing stuff out there. Never once did I say that, and I don't know where you came up with that idea. But the simple fact of the matter is that there are other Black people in this country, and unless those Black people can trace their actual lineage back to the actual slavery, chattel slavery in this country, no, they wouldn't be eligible for it. The same way, like I said, all other Asians would not be eligible, did not get reparations for World War II.
Hey, just real quick, I'm glad you just brought up this. And yeah, for the record, I second that. We lineage-based reparations over here, family. So with that being said, I'm glad you brought up Tracy.
Hold on real quick. Polo Styles, those are different ethnic groups in the Asian race as well too, bro. Chinese and Japanese, go ask them if they're the same group. But go ahead, DJ.
And look, you might get cut by one of your knackers. You know what I'm saying? China Mac, you know what I mean? So with that being said, right? So I was gonna say something else too about that. Yo, that's another subject. Yo. Keep it real, yo. You know what I mean? So with that being said, you know, like you said, you got Asians that they could consider themselves maybe like a race of people from different subgroups and stuff like that. But we don't say we're diasporians. That don't even sound right. You know what I'm saying? We probably better off saying we're Wakandians. I'm a Wakanda. You know what I'm saying? Like that. You know what I'm saying? All day. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace of Chadwick. That was a real knacker. from the soil. You feel what I'm saying? Real talk, but guess what? We team Killmonger. You know what I mean? So I don't think we're against this woman gay in a sense because she's speaking out and going against the J gang. We're actually with her. We're just saying, hold on a second. This is weird. You know what I'm saying? And you got to look at it like this. 350 plus years of this school being in existence, and it was one that is not from the lineage that happened to be the first Black American woman. That's what she identifies as. And I said she could get that because she was born. This is why Trump was right in birthright citizenship. If we're talking about we're delineating, we got a beef with that. Close the border. There's only M&M gangers can't pay, yo. So these folks ain't us. You know what I'm saying? And when you think about all the times they have cosplayed us to get certain positions, you feel what I'm saying? To get in these Ivy League schools that we actually have to study for. I stay on this education stuff. I know you do too. Remember, since this is an affirmative action thing, and then who crying the most? The Asians, because they see it backfired on them. Good, you know what I mean? And now a lot of these folks that are of the Black races, like you said, or groups, excuse me, you know what I'm saying, for correction, codification, be more codified, they can no longer say, hey, y'all, I'm Black American. You know what I'm saying? In that sense, they're going to have to say, hey, I'm African and my tribe is from Igbo and all this other stuff. You know what I mean? I'm from this tribe and that clan in this village and yada, yada, yada. You know what I'm saying? I'm from the Leaf Village, yo. You know what I'm saying? AKA North New Jersey. You know what I'm saying? Word up. Some of y'all know that's Crenshaw Mafia, but you know that's another story, though. You know what I'm saying? We can't be the African booty scratchers because we got our own thing. Busta Rhymes. So when he say, hey, America ain't got no culture, wait, hold on. Who are you talking to? He talking to us, right? Because we is the culture. I think he playing, though, but, you know, I think you ought to shut up, bro. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? When these jokers be bigging up Kool Herc as the godfather, hold on, Kool Herc said he learned his stuff from other Black American DJs. You know, Flowers, Mario, you feel what I'm saying? Like, come on, you know what I mean? Why don't folks don't get the credit? But shout out to Disco King Mario, he got that street name after him. You know what I'm saying? And there ain't no disrespect to Kool Herc because he still perfected the merry-go-round system, you know what I'm saying? So he get credit for that, but when these folks be saying they went half and created half Fat Joe, man, you can't even show me the Curtis Blow of Puerto Rico, bro. You can't show me no DMX of anywhere else in the Caribbean, bro. You feel what I'm saying? That don't exist, man. You know what I'm saying? You can't trace that back to 20, 30, 40, 50, not even 100 years. We got 100 plus years on y'all. Y'all was listening to our music. So when we say, hey, the whole Black situation, we got to denote that strictly to us because these folks will quickly, nowadays even more, because of this whole, like you said, Black, everything's spilling out online because it really ain't in the street like that. There's, you know, jokers go about their day. Ain't nobody looking at that. You going to a place and the joker there at the counter is other. You know, hey, what's up, bro? And you know, what's up, fam? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You might even say, what's up, my knacker? You know what I'm saying? Because they from the neighborhood. Some of these folks you don't grow up with around here. But we also know, as you know, Sister Stephanie has been said, and people, other folks on this app, hey, look, man, it ain't like that up here. It's different up here with these jokers when they come in here. You know, they'll be cool, nobody bother them because we empathetic people anyway. We don't bother people, bro. But I think when you have to ask these questions, hey, look, this sister is of other origin, you know what I'm saying? You know, why all of a sudden she getting the spotlight because of what she's saying? We were saying this stuff for 360 years too. Nobody batted an eye at us. Except put us in the dirt. Dexter waited us, you know what I'm saying? Didn't even tell our mother, you know what I'm saying? Come on, man. This has been going on long enough. So when we say we're delineating, we ain't delineating from the diasporians to Wakandians. We are delineating to say, hey, look, we are this tribe and we come from this country. We are this nationality and we are ethnically this lineage. You know what I'm saying? It ain't got nothing to do because you melanated like me. You know what I'm saying? I get the Dominican questions all the time. Nah, mommy, I'm not. I'm a straight knacker. You know what I'm saying? I don't even got it. I can't even roll my R's right, see? You know what I'm saying? So I don't even got that in my voice, you know what I mean? But when we talk to Black State, back to that, this is all the more reason to say, hey, look, man, we see what it is now. These folks never had our best interests at heart because they opened up a bodega here. You know what I'm saying? It used to be called the corner store or pop store or the Johnsons. You know what I mean? These folks done took it over and don't even try to sell it to another black person. They turn around, don't file taxes on it either. But let us not file taxes for 5 years and then turn around, close the business, say we went bankrupt, or turn around and get a title of the business or sold it to another person in our family. We'd be in jail in 2 seconds. 2 seconds, yo. We ain't getting no leniency or nothing, yo. You know what I mean? So why are these folks allowed to come here and do that? You got the white folks over in the Midwest, they going crazy because the China Nac is buying up all the farmland that's connected to military bases out there. They not happy about that. You know what I'm saying? They is pissed off. So why should we let these other folks come into the country knowing damn well land is cheap in the South? Shout out to our lawyer online sending me these wonderful 200-acre lands of farm for the dirt low. Man, I couldn't get a quarter acre up here for that price. You know what I'm saying? Start on the road. Let these folks have this stuff. They ain't gonna survive without us up here anyway. We built all this stuff up here so we could easily leave. That's why a lot of our folks just bounce and go down south. We've been going up and down I-95. This ain't nothing but the Underground Railroad. I-95, it just got a new name. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, yeah.
All right, real quick, I'm gonna let Sean, and we got another speaker up here, Duncan, and we're gonna be shutting it down for the night. So Sean, go ahead real quick, and I'll let Duncan go ahead, and we're gonna end up closing it out because we've been going close to 3 hours. So go ahead, Sean.
For sure. I just wanted to kind of, follow what Black talk about. Politically, we'll be spinning our wheels trying to separate a huge majority of our people from their indoctrinated Pan-African ideology. So it's a certain way you go about it. I got real-time procedure, real-time testing when I did it. So you simply don't have to do that. All you have to do is just point out our justice claim and make the distinctions there, and to point out how the political system is set up, that every other group has certain organizations and certain political organizations that they form for their group specifically. And we are not the only, we're the only group that's not doing that. Doesn't have to be that hard. Just point that out. And then that's been working for me, man. I talk to Pan-Africans all the time. I am a Pan-African, but I don't allow my Pan-African ideology to mix up my political interests. And when I say I'm a Pan-African, I just simply mean that we want the best for all Black people globally, and I recognize that we all have a familiar connection, and I just love Black people globally. That's when I say I'm a Pan-African, that's what I mean. I usually lean more towards B-Wood, Black first, but all through and through though, it's Black American on this soil, because we do have a legitimate claim that we have to address. We have a legitimate history that we have to clean up, and we do have a destiny in this country that we have to fulfill. We built the country. We have been the moral fiber of this country. Anything good that came out of this country, either championed it, was the cause of it, or got behind it. When you say liberty, we embody that as a group collectively. If we fall, America's done. As far as those ideas we hold true, all that freedom, justice, and all that, we fought for that. We embodied it. So we leave this earth. We fade from this planet because we're not acting appropriately when it comes to politics and just the rough world of survival in general. Then America will be a whole different animal. And that's just what I believe. It don't have to be complicated. I like delineation. I like learning from other groups of people. I'm really leaning into my own Black American heritage and learning more and more about my heritage. It's fun. I'm having a great time. I can tell you more about Shaka Zulu than I could about John Horse, but I'm trying to reverse that. I learned enough about my ancestors over on the continent. Now it's time to learn enough about the people who died and are buried right under my feet. And that's what I'm on. It don't have to be, it ain't no hate, no love lost, because I love all my Black people around the globe. Y'all ain't gonna never get me off of that. I think it's a pointless debate to even try to debate that. You got to recognize, like Black does, that if you're dealing with the average Black American, that's the wall you're going to hit, especially how you deal with it, especially if you come with hateful, negative energy. They really put their guard up if you're doing that. So you got to be very cautious. And I got real world experience actually going out in the streets, talking to people. I just naturally say, hey, yeah, where your people from? And I want to know about people's history. And that's just me, what I do naturally. And I don't come off defensive when I do it because I'm not being defensive. I'm coming from a good place. And I win.
All right, Duncan, go ahead and unmute your mic, and like you'll be the last speaker for the night. So go ahead, Duncan.
Yeah, thank you for letting me speak. I wanted to speak about that show that Charles Blow got, because I see we had in the title they got hashtag reverse migration. I think that's the show weaponized to attack historical black communities in America. I'm a strong believer that black American communities all over this country have a right to exist. I hear politicians say that all the time in regards to Israel, how they are dedicated to the existence of the Israeli state. Well, in that same manner, I'm like that when it comes to black communities all over the country. And I also think it's weaponized against us, and it's kind of synchronized how you have people like, in LA who are trying to talk about, well, we need to keep our communities, and people in Chicago talking about immigration, they're going to flood our community. But then they synchronize this show with this democratic shield, Charles Blow, as if this is something grassroots are for the people, He even said to his show, if you're wealthy or if you're doing good in these northern places, hey, it might be good for you to stay. But so I'm really thinking, even though it's like Fort Tom, even though he are showing people well off who moved back down south, but I'm like, you're giving up on historical black community, and then you're trying to get people to come back down south because you want to turn these red states blue. It's not to benefit the people. It's not they setting up a structure or infrastructure, where it's going to be, okay, better jobs or better state of life for them down south. Like, no, I don't know. To me, that's very diabolical. I think what they own, I disagree strongly in that. And like I say, I would like to see the same commitment they give to Israel for the Israeli state's existence. I like to see that same commitment for the existence of black communities all over the United States. And like I said, I hope he hears this, because, I'm not going to personally attack him because I don't know him personally. And you have to respect people. It's better to respect people than be, uncouth. But I disagree with that so strong. And it leaves a bitter taste in my mouth to see somebody do that. Like, they come out with that show at the same time these people complaining about immigrants flooding Chicago. And his answer is, why don't you just leave Chicago and go back down south? And let's remember, Chicago was formed by Black Americans, right? I guess they would call it Creole because the French, he was from the French territory before the Louisiana Purchase. So, but he was an American, Black American all the same. But like I said, it's diabolical, and it leaves a bad taste in my mouth just to see somebody like that and why they're doing it for the Democratic Party, not the people. I land my plane. Thank you.
All righty. I kind of wish you would have came in here a little bit earlier with that statement so we could have really kind of dove into it. I'm going to say this real quick because we're getting ready to close the space out. They're talking about trying to form a majority state, a majority black state, something that we don't have in the country. So, in all of these areas that black people are at, there is no majority black state. We don't have it. And if you had a majority black state, then you could control local politics as well as state politics in the actual state as well, too. In Chicago, you're not going to control anything. You're not controlling anything in Chicago. You're not controlling anything in California. Hell, let's be for real. Even in the states that's got 25-30% black population, you ain't controlling nothing right now because you're not the majority. So, whether you agree with Charles Blow or not, or you think he may be a Democratic shill, I don't know. To me, the logic behind it does make sense because we know in this country majority rules, and there is no black majority in any state.
All I had to say is Jackson, Mississippi, a majority black city in Mississippi, and look at the infrastructure of Mississippi. See, that's the thing. We have to get off Crayola politics. Like Fred Hampton said, when the people were talking about setting up a bank, you can have a black person that is the majority.
Is Jackson, Mississippi? Is a state of Mississippi black control and ran though?
No, I said Jackson.
Yeah, I know Jackson. Jackson has to get state funding from a bunch of rednecks in Mississippi. So I'm saying, is the actual state of Mississippi controlled by black people or still good old white boys whistling old Dixie?
Yeah, black Americans are the majority when you talk about an ethnic group.
No, black people are not the majority in the state of Mississippi.
Oh, hold on. Let me confirm that. Yes, they are.
No, they're not. No, they're not the majority. No, they're not the majority.
Shout me down instead of listening.
Because everybody knows that. So you're saying that the majority of the black people, you're saying the majority of Mississippi's population, the majority is black, is what you're telling us.
If you allow me to give me a rebuttal, I can give a rebuttal. What I'm saying is you're looking at it as just black and white. I'm not looking at it like that. I'm looking at it as black American, foundational black American, right? Versus Anglo-Americans in Mississippi versus French Americans, German Americans. Yeah, black Americans come from the lineage of slavery is the largest ethnic group. Now, if you want to compile all the data about white versus black, then yeah, you might have an unfair advantage.
Well, then that's the data that matters right there, because most white people don't run around calling themselves French and Italian and they say they white. So that's the one.
They have Germantown.
Okay.
Germantown, Tennessee.
So since black people are majority, why don't they control state politics in Mississippi?
Well, because of government-sanctioned terrorism that we just came out of.
Okay.
Right? We just got the right to vote.
We've been voting for the 60s since the 60s, almost 60 years.
I don't know how old you are. You might be 20, but my mother grew up in Jim Crow.
I ain't no 20. I'm in my 40s. Okay.
Okay, so you should know that.
Okay. Why the hell you screaming so loud, dude? Calm down. You are screaming.
I'm a truck driver. I have a headset on, so it might be louder than I'm actually talking, right? So what I'm saying is that being that you are 40, right, you should know that we're not too long out of segregation. So we can't say why are black people not doing this, as if you don't know that, we will subject the government-sanctioned atrocity. So all I'm saying is the message you all are giving, I think you all are doing that on purpose, and I think it's synchronized, trying to diminish the claim of those communities in Chicago, saying that they should just pack up and leave for this imaginary Wakanda y'all want to set up.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right too. You're right, because black people have so much power and control in a city that's getting overran with migrants. You're right. They control everything up in Chicago, in a city that they getting all of these millions and billions of dollars, giving it to migrants. Hold on, man. In a city that's ran by a city that they keep approving everything for migrants, black people don't have a damn thing in there. Like I said, in every state, and when it comes election time, the majority of the people in those states and most of these states are white. So what's the issue? What's the problem with having a state that's predominantly black, majority black?
Well, the issue is that I support the right of existence of black communities all over the country. I'm not asking our people to become like tethers and flee at the first sign of trouble.
How the hell you gonna flee out of your own country? How the hell you gonna flee out your own country?
You want them to flee out of certain regions of the country. You want them to leave Gary, Indiana. You want them to leave Chicago. You want them to leave New York. You want them to leave all these places and flee and come down south instead of staying 10 toes down and saying, hey, government.
Yeah, stand 10 toes down and be the minority. Stand 10 toes down and be the minority in your own damn where you living at. where you have no voting power.
Like I said, there's a lot of government shields out here, man.
I know it is. And you're talking about having a majority state. You're against that, but you don't mind black people being a minority in these other places where they have no power. Where they don't, the mayor doesn't look like them. Okay, and if you do have a mayor, what good is a mayor? How many black governors you got in the country? Matter of fact, how many black governors have you had historically in the United States of America since everything is so hunky-dory? How many black senators do you got? Now a black American can't move in the country. They're tethered. They move if they migrate, they're tethered. What kind of crap is that?
I don't know if that question was rhetorical. I don't know if that was rhetorical. What I said is that we should go after government to support these communities' right of existence the same way they support Israeli right of existence. We have a right to exist in Illinois. We have a right to exist all these other places that we're talking about. I don't believe in fleeing. I believe staying down, fighting, and making these communities work. You disagree. I strongly disagree with you. In fact, I look at y'all as adversaries to black politics, black American politics, and y'all are principal. But
hey, and I look at you the same way. I look at you as a Negro that's on the porch that's scared to jump off. That's what I look at you. I look at you as a Negro that's waiting to get you a nice, sweet, hot potato fresh out the damn stove. That's what I look at. I look at you as somebody that's scared of progress, scared of power, that's content in the damn station of life that we in, under the thumb of white supremacy. That's what I look at you as. First off, nobody's talking about kidnapping black folks and forcing them and making them move to a whole nother state. This saying for the black people that can, you're talking about 50 some odd million people. They ain't say everybody that's black in America go ahead and move and go to this state or go to that state. For those that can, for those that might be looking to get a better opportunity to get to be the majority. But what I'm hearing from you is scared talk, dude. I'm hearing, and then you got y'all adversary of the black folks and this and that and yada 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 yada. You talking loud, but you ain't saying nothing, Playboy. Real talk. You sitting up here, you sound scared. You sound scared of your own shadow. Sitting up here talking about it. So like nobody, Charles Blow ain't forcing nobody. If you can do it, you can do it. If you can't, you can't. Fine. Nobody's saying that you got to do it or whatever. But for those that can, go ahead. For those that don't want to, fine. Stay where you at. But don't complain that you 10% of the population in the city and other people 40, 50%, and they getting everything handed to them. And you getting left behind. And you sitting up here comparing, talking about, well, black people, you talking about, do you honestly think the United States government that's got to deal with Israel, that's give them $4 billion a damn month, a year, you think they're going to go ahead and put that kind of money in the black community? Well, why haven't they always put that kind of money in there? Since you know everything, tell me that. They've been doing this for Israel for how long? Israel is their puppet over there. Of course, they're going to go ahead and keep supplying them. Hey, Duncan, we going to the next speaker, man. No taxation. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, everybody.
What's going on?
How you doing, sister?
You there? No taxation?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We ain't gonna keep the space going too much long, anyways. But go ahead, sister.
I wasn't even gonna come up here. I came in late, so I don't know the whole conversation. I hope everybody in the room is doing okay. I wonder if the man that just spoke would have thought that the Panthers would be Democratic shields, because that was their proposition back in the 60s in Atlanta. And I told you all the story time and time again about how the Panthers came from California and Lowndes County and all over the country, along with other activists, after King was assassinated, and we burnt everything down. Having a majority black anything is not a new thought in this country, because we have always grouped ourselves together for the benefit of us. And so if it looks weird in 2023, I suggest everybody go back in history to see when we gathered together and stayed to ourselves and sustained ourselves and still fought against the government and said we have a right to exist. It's not mutually exclusive. See, that's the thing. And I'm all for living in a black community as long as it's not poor. See? And I'd rather be amongst my people, the ones that are not robbing and stealing and murdering and fighting. See? The problem that we have getting in our community is that we don't police ourselves. So maybe that's why people are scared. And no, ain't nobody gonna run nothing in Chicago. They still giving them migrants money and still pushing them in the neighborhood. And why can they do that? Because we don't have a majority stake in anything. We don't own nothing. And every time we do get together and own something, the white folks come in and destroy it. And that's historical too. That's on historical record. And so ain't nothing wrong with us deciding that we want to be together and live amongst ourselves and do for ourselves. It's a very, if you really want to know, it's a very Pan-African thought. See? And I don't know how somebody could be against that and be a Democrat still, because the Democrats just came back from Ghana and the rest of them and said that we all have a right to exist. So it's all the same thing. It don't even matter what side of the aisle you are. Are you black? And for black in this country, the word black in this country means us. Because it was the first time in this country that we had decided to name ourselves. And so it's a very politically charged way to describe yourself. And there is research, peer-reviewed research out there that says whites have a bigger fear of black people that call themselves black than African-American people that call themselves African-American. That's why they don't want us to use the word black. Get real. And I hope all y'all have a wonderful holiday and a wonderful new year. And I hope everybody is going to be healthy and prosperous. And for the forward movement of black folks in this country. And I'm going to leave it there.
Thank you, sister. Let me go ahead and get to Funded. Funded, go ahead. Like I said, we're going to be closing this thing out because we've been going for a minute. So go ahead, Funded.
Yeah, man. So the brother got a lot of energy. I sent you a DM under the Black Majority State account. We have a space every Saturday. This is what we discuss. I'm going to tell you, we are the grassroots in this Black Majority State movement. Charles Blow, God bless him, is getting divine information that we are all getting. As Miss No Taxation said, there is a thread within our population that goes back to at least 1863 of wanting to have self-governance. This is a part of the Black nationalist ideology. This is exactly what we have always wanted, and we keep getting sidetracked and pushed and pulled in different directions to stop us from having it. First migration started because we were the majority population in several southern states, and they did not want us to have that power and that authority. Please come to that space. We will spend all the time it takes to get you up to speed so that you fully understand how this country works and where the power lies. And I'll end on that.
Yeah.
I'm up to speed. I just think it's ridiculous because rural poverty, you're asking them to move back to rural poverty. Like, rural poverty is way more worse than it is up north. Like, it's very poor down south.
Hey, I live down south, so what you talking about, cuz?
I do too.
Okay. And so it's worse than paying $4,000-$5,000 for rent a month, huh?
Just as poor up here, bro.
Please.
Sure what you talking about, man. I'm in Essex County, North.
I'm just saying, as a state, y'all states have more money. Y'all states have more resources than our state.
I'm in Florida, cuz. What are you talking about?
You don't get no resources in New Jersey, though. Get them in New York, bro. The others get it. You know what I'm saying? We don't have
Florida is different. I give it that. Florida is different. Florida has a lot of money. But I'm saying, like, if you're talking about, like, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, to Illinois, New York. It's common sense. Everybody knows that.
Mr. Duncan, excuse me.
Yes,
There's
ma'am.
only
Yes, ma'am.
4 states in this country that count. Florida, Texas, California, and New York. And you see what state they're in. The rest of America really doesn't count when it comes to the economic pie, except for farming areas. Okay? That's why Lowndes County, Alabama looks the way it does.
Exactly.
Okay?
All right. And on that note, y'all, this is as good a time as any to go ahead and close the space out. Appreciate everybody coming through. This space definitely has some legs to it right here, boy. We touched on some topics and some stuff tonight, man. So shout out to everybody in the space. Shout out to all of the speakers, the listeners, everybody who retweeted out the space as well, too, guys. We should be back tomorrow night for our what's tomorrow, Wednesday? So yeah, should be back tomorrow night unless something changes. DJ, you got something you want to say really quick?
I just want to say we should back this Claudine Gay system to go against these J-Nackers, because that's what Farrakhan don't. You know what I'm saying? He's suing the ADL, so why we ain't grouping up with them to try to go? Hey, why let her be the lone wolf, be out there left by herself? I'm not saying because she is of other descent that we should back her either. We should find out what's going on in the sister, because didn't they do the same thing to the sister that was investigating guy Epstein? That she's what island is she on? But it's part of Virgin Islands, I think. And she was investigating Epstein, and they took her whole position, took her off the case, everything, and terminated her from her government position. Never heard from that sister again. See what I'm saying? So it's like, what does this sister know in Harvard that she's finding out stuff about these folks? Obviously, you know what I mean? She finding out something. If she the president digging in the archives, she knows something now. Yo. So go ahead, though. I don't know, man.
But yeah, but that's what's up, y'all. We finna get ready to close it out for the night. So we will see y'all tomorrow night. Y'all be safe. Have a good night. Peace. See you then.